speakers, participants, scholars, students, and lovers of history and art who have joined us from across India and around the world. Kalanam Pravaram Chitram Dharma Kamartha Mokshadam says a shloka from the Vishnu Dharmottara Purana. Roughly translated, this means among the arts, painting is preeminent. It promotes dharma, prosperity, desire, and liberation. On that note, I have great pleasure in inviting all of you to Tamil Heritage Trust's Indology Festival 2026, titled Caves, Courts and Beyond, Painting Traditions of India. Across centuries, painting has been one of the most enduring methods of humanity for recording experience, expressing ideas, and preserving memory. Long before the days of photography and print, paintings and images have been strong visual expressions that captured stories, emotions, beliefs, lifestyles, in fact, entire way in which people lived, and transmitted this from generation to generation. India as a country has got a very rich and diverse history of painting traditions. Created across religions, regions, and historic timelines, these reflect not only artistic excellence, but the social, cultural, and the intellectual world from which they emerged. Collectively, in fact, we have an invaluable visual archive which represents our entire civilization as a whole. Over the next 6 days, with 12 talks by scholars and experts, we are going to be journeying across this legacy. We will be starting with the earliest painting traditions found on the walls of caves and temples, and then we will move across to manuscripts and portable painting traditions, and then to the courts of kings and ateliers, and then regional painting styles, and then we will try to conclude with painting practices as they are today and how they have helped to sustain these traditions. One line that I'd like to add at this time is, when we curated this festival, we were not just hoping to learn about paintings. We also wanted to delve a little deeper into the histories, societies, and the cultural continuities embodied in the painting traditions of India. Before we move to the main program, I'd like to give you a brief introduction about Tamil Heritage Trust, which is our organization. Tamil Heritage Trust is a voluntary organization started by a group of like-minded people almost 16 years back with the explicit objective of understanding, appreciating, disseminating and celebrating information related to India's rich history and heritage, not just for the benefit of those who are scholarly or academically inclined, but the average enthusiastic public as well. Towards this end, THT conducts programs throughout the year. On the first Saturday of every month, we have a monthly talk, and this is our flagship event. We have been conducting this event almost uninterrupted for 16 years now, merely changing the platform from in-person to online through and post-corona. Then, of course, we have the Indology Festival. This started in 2020, and we are on to our 7th Indology Festival this year. This is an annual online event conducted week-long with two talks by experts every day. Another initiative of ours is called Pechu Kacheri. It is meant to coincide and collaborate with the Margari Isai Kacheris of Chennai, and this is an in-person event. We try to keep it Tamil Nadu and Tamil-centric. Apart from our talks and seminars, at THT, we also conduct various kinds of workshops. We have one-day workshops called How to See a Temple, How to See a Museum, etc. These are conducted in 2 sessions. In the forenoon, we have a series of lectures, and in the afternoon, participants are taken to an actual site to explain what was discussed. Anybody can register and participate in these. Then on and off, we have classroom sessions on a variety of topics like Pallava Grantham script, ancient Indian mathematics, ancient Indian astronomy, etc. Another initiative of ours is called Alamar Away, and here the target audience are the school teachers of Tamil Nadu. Over a series of weekend lectures, various aspects of history and heritage are discussed. The idea being that these teachers will take them back to their students, further spreading awareness. Docent training is another initiative where a training is given to prepare docents to present historical sites and heritage monuments in a professional manner to an enthusiastic audience. We are extremely proud and happy to say that so far we have trained at least 100 plus docents over 3 or 4 sessions. Site seminar is another initiative. This is an in-house activity largely meant for our own self-education and self-enhancement. We normally zero in upon any particular site in India, and over several weeks our volunteers study them in depth. We have a large number of in-house seminars after that, and armed with all this knowledge, we visit the site and try to have immersive experience. Apart from these, we have also instituted 2 awards from Tamil Heritage Trust for individual contributions. The first such award is named after our co-founder and called Professor S. Swaminathan Heritage Award. It is given for individual contributions in the field of history and heritage. We'll soon be putting out advertisements for the nominations this year. The second award that we give is called V. Venkaya Epigraphy Award. It is named after V. Venkaya, the first official Indian epigraphist, and instituted by Miss Sunita Madhavan, his great-granddaughter. THT has been entrusted with the responsibility of administering this award. Flyers are already out requesting for nominations for this award. Anybody who wants to nominate themselves or somebody known to them can do so. We have a YouTube channel where you will find links to all our talks right down to today's talk. Please subscribe and click the bell icon to receive notifications. These are our social media handles. This is our mailing ID. Anybody can mail us here to join our mailing list or to collaborate with us in a voluntary capacity in any of our initiatives. We are voluntary. We don't have any dedicated financial backing, so any kind of contributions are welcome. You may please use this QR code or ID to contribute, and it will be greatly appreciated. That, in a nutshell, was about our organization, Tamil Heritage Trust. Now, moving on to today's program, we are on day 1 of the event, which is titled Origins and Early Traditions. To deliver the opening note for this event, I now call upon Dr. Gauri Parimu Krishnan, art historian and museum consultant, and our mentor for this event. Dr. Gauri is an art historian, curator, museum consultant, and educator, and as I already mentioned, our mentor for this event. A widely respected scholar and author, her work spans Indian art history, visual culture, temple architecture, and museum studies. She has played a pioneering role in the development of the Indian Heritage Center and the South Asian Galleries of the Asian Civilizations Museum in Singapore, and has also served as chief curator of the Pradhan Mantri Sangrahalaya in New Delhi. One of the leading interpreters of Indian and South Asian art, she brings together the perspectives of the scholar, curator, and museum professional. A very warm welcome to you, Dr. Gauri. The screen is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this very kind introduction, Ms. Gauri. And I thank you also right at the outset for putting this wonderful festival together and for inviting me to join as an expert in putting together the content and the concepts as the backbone for this festival. And I'm very, very thrilled and happy to be associated with this iteration of the Tamil Heritage Trust's Indology Festival titled Caves courts, and beyond painting traditions of India. As you have already been given an overview by Ms. Gauri about my namesake, about the topics that will be covered in these 12 days, it is a matter of immense joy and pleasure to be able to go through in depth with experts from India and abroad on wide ranging topics associated with India's and the Indian subcontinent's contribution to the development of the visual language, the visual culture, and how right from the earliest stages of the civilizational evolution, visual image has played a very key role in the lives of the Indic civilization people. I begin by my opening remarks by quoting from the chapter 1 of John Berger's book, The Ways of Seeing. An image is a sight which has been recreated or reproduced. It is an appearance or a set of appearances which has been detached from the place and time in which it first made its appearance and preserved for a few moments or a few centuries. Every image embodies a way of seeing. And the painter's way of seeing is reconstituted by the marks he makes on the canvas or paper. Yet, although every image embodies a way of seeing, our perception or appreciation of the image depends upon our own way of seeing. Quote finished. The process of painting is not a mere mechanical act of looking, copying, or recording, in my view. It has many players, perspectives, motives, and dimensions that come into play at once and invite the viewer to form their own impressions of the painting. The painter, the subject, the act of creating a work of art, materials, tools, techniques, style, geography, period, patron, and the purpose all fall into a relational situation that evolved with the civilizational change ever since the prehistoric period. Across the Indian subcontinent, from cave dwellings and early Neolithic archaeological sites containing cave paintings and petroglyphs, the act of painting has always been observation-based, yet conceptual. The art was drawn from memory and a sharp attempt to capture the spirit of bird, beast, or human figures, deftly drawn or carved from the hard rock of a cave surface. Driven by the ultimate success in the hunt for food and survival, and to overpower the strength of the beasts, early man's paintings were a record of collective ritual. Today we perceive them as an art gallery of cave paintings, a far cry from their original intended purpose. From the cave paintings of Bhimbetka to the murals of the Ajanta caves in Maharashtra or Sittanivasal caves in Tamil Nadu and Alchi murals in Ladakh, among others, the people of ancient Indic cultures across the length and breadth of the subcontinent had traversed a huge leap to classical sophistication based on aesthetic principles shared across almost every part of the subcontinent. As rulers, acharyas, and lay worshippers with refined taste commissioned Jain, Buddhist, and Hindu places of worship, learning, dwelling, ritual, and worship. This shared knowledge of collective wisdom from previous generations about theory, practice, methods, and ideals about painting and sculpture has been compiled in the Vishnu Dharmottara Puran, an appendix to the Vishnu Puran, as just mentioned by Madam Gauri. Despite its religious affiliation, it has a larger emphasis on technical, aesthetic, and methodical aspects of art, which are relevant to the making and appreciation of form, composition, and beauty. Widely known today as the Shadanga or the 6 limbs of art, it constitutes sadrishya, similarity, praman, proportion, rupa bheda, differentiation of forms as depicted through line, varnika bhanga, differentiation of colors, bhava, emotional disposition or rasa, and lavanya yojanam, graceful composition. The surprising lead this text provided for centuries is the understanding of the interdependence of the arts, which the 20th century art historians of India have brought to our attention, and generations of Rasikas today have much to learn from our ancient knowledge base on how to appreciate traditional art. The content and theme of painting developed from the post-Gupta period, since it is assumed that this text was compiled from earlier knowledge base by around the 5th century. In the post-Gupta period until the pre-modern period, and also on manuscripts and scrolls ranging from secular to religious, philosophical, historical, and mythological texts, has contributed greatly to the art of narratology and meaning making. Even influences from across borders as far as the Western civilizations and assimilation of European elements, including the treatment of the form and composition of paintings, will be uncovered through the 12 dedicated lectures by experts from India and abroad on subjects related and ranging from murals to paintings on cloth or scrolls and manuscripts and paper paintings. The purpose of this presentation or these 12 lectures is very much to bring to attention the appreciation, understanding, and knowledge about the various traditional schools, regional variations, and how elements from various influences from across the border have also been assimilated by the creative, skilled artists and artisans of India throughout the civilizational, scope, and how there is so much interdependence between dance, music, and the arts in Indian culture. So with these few key points to bear in mind when you are welcome to listen to each and every lecture that is going to be delivered over the next few days, to keep in mind and to bear in mind how to identify, how to appreciate the masterpieces which you are going to see with every expert who is going to be on this panel, and take away learning and understanding, and not to just debunk the traditional Indian painting as mythological or based on design or principles which are outdated, which are not modern, which are not realistic. I think it is very important that through these few lectures, we get a full understanding and appreciation of the traditional knowledge-based knowledge system and how it has evolved across centuries, across length and breadth of India. So how India was traditionally connected through the aesthetic principles, and also to understand that ancient Indic civilizational experts were also very much aware of technology, science, chemistry, because to make paints, you need to know chemistry. To be able to produce paintings on different mediums, you need to know physics, you need to know chemistry, you need to know even a bit of pharmacology. So it's not just simply about narrating a mythological story, but also a vast array of subject matter expertise that the ancient Indic painters possessed. That has been preserved and brought to our knowledge and understanding by the 12 experts that you're going to listen to. So with these few remarks, I would like to hand over the mic to the first speaker of today. Thank you very much and enjoy the next few sessions.
Thank you, Dr. Gauri. That was very nice and very insightful. And I'm sure you have set the stage for the entire event. and the trajectory of how this event is going to unfold over with the next 6 days and 12 talks. I'm sure the audience have also got a very clear idea of what to expect, and which is thank you so much. Now, moving on to the first talk of the day. Yeah. Now, let us begin the program and let's move on to the first talk of the day. Our first talk today is titled Prehistoric Rock Art Traditions of Central India and is being delivered by Dr. Meenakshi Dubey Pathak, who is a rock art expert of ICOMOS. Among India's earliest surviving artistic expressions are the paintings found in rock shelters across central India. These remarkable images provide rare insights into the lives, beliefs, and cultural practices of prehistoric communities. They also raise fascinating questions about continuity, memory, and the relationship between ancient visual traditions and the living cultures that inhabit these landscapes today. Guiding us through all this and more is Dr. Meenakshi Dubey Pathak, rock art expert. Based in Bhopal, Dr. Meenakshi has spent over 3 decades researching, documenting, and preserving India's rock art heritage. Her extensive fieldwork has led to the discovery and study of numerous painted rock shelters across central India. She serves on several international bodies devoted to rock art research and conservation and has published extensively on Indian rock art and tribal art traditions. Internationally recognized for her contributions to the field, Dr. Dubey Pathak is among India's foremost scholars of prehistoric rock art and its continuing cultural significance. A very warm welcome to you, Dr. Meenakshi. The screen is yours.
Thank you very much. Okay, yeah. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me to talk about rock art again. And thanks for this wonderful event you people have organized. And I'm so happy to you get a chance again to talk about rock art. So rock art is a broad yet specific concept referring to drawing made on the rocks during traditional cultural practices, and it was created by our ancestors. Conditions and types of rock art can vary greatly across different countries and continents, but art is the same, but their style and subject could be a little different. So we have two types of rock art. First is petroglyph and second is pictograph. Petroglyph means it's engravings, rock art engraved on the shelter walls or cave walls or on the boulders. That is known as petroglyphs. And for painting, of course, painting made with colors. But there is another style that is known as geoglyphs. Geoglyphs are made on the ground and that is again engraved, but the images of animals or signs or humans, they are more than life size. Huge size of figures have been made on the ground. That is known as geoglyphs. So I'll start with my presentation so that is you'll understand better. One sec. Yeah. Yeah. Can you see my presentation? My screen is
You have to select the full screen mode at the
I did
bottom.
it. I have
No,
done.
no, at the bottom,
Yeah, 1
you
minute.
would see either, yeah, or you have to select the slideshow at the top.
Wait,
That won't help. You can go to the menu slideshow,
I'll check it. Yeah, sure.
or at the bottom, there is a.
Wait a minute. Where
Yeah.
is
Go to the menu slideshow at the top.
Mhm. Wait a minute.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
That'll also do.
Okay, good. So now
It's
you
on.
can see
Thank
it?
you.
Good.
Yes.
All right, right. So rock art we have everywhere. All the continents are having rock art images. It's not only in our country, it's worldwide. It's globally we have rock arts. Only in Arctica and Antarctica. Other than these, all the continents. Maximum rock art sites we have in Africa. Africa is the richest place. Nearly each and every country is containing rock art in Africa. After that, Australia is having many rock art sites, many painted shelters are there, and the tradition is still going on there among their aborigines. Then Europe is well known for its cave art. It's particularly in France and Spain, they have many painted caves, nearly 300 painted caves are there. And I'm fortunate I have visited nearly 45 painted caves in France and Spain, and it's a different world. These paintings, these cave paintings are known for their naturalistic style. There are very natural animals have been depicted. Other than France and Spain, there are art in Italy, in Portugal, and all these Scandinavian countries. They have many engravings. Mainly engravings are there more than painting. After Europe, we have rock art in America. America is again rich for rock art, North and South both. And in Asia, we have hundreds of rock art sites. And five main areas are there: Middle East, Central Asia, China, Indonesia, and of course, India. Our country is full of rock art. Each and every state is having rock art in India. Mhm. So, as I said, I already told you that rock art is found worldwide and everywhere. And two types of paintings we have: engraved and paintings, petroglyphs and pictographs. So, you can see these natural landscape. See this whole rock, and below this rock, this particular figure is from this rock only. Sorry. So this particular panel is from this rock only, and just here below they have paintings, and you can see the landscape. Landscape is very important for creating rock art. Why we have so much rock art in Central India? Because of the landscape and climate. Because we have here Narmada River, Chambal, Betwa, so many rivers and lot of greenery, good landscape, perennial water, rocks, caves, everything is here. So that is one of the most important reason of having so many rock art in Central India. But the earliest rock art is likely originates in Africa. Work because in Blomba's cave in South Africa, the researchers found a small red hematite nodule. This is the nodule, and this nodule is engraved with these cross lines. You can see these cross lines. So this piece is the oldest art. It goes to 75,000 years ago, old. Other than that, in the same area in South Africa only, what is going on? Yeah. So they have, during the excavation, they have found lot of these shells, pieces of ostrich eggshell, these fragments, and all these pieces are designed, having a geometrical design, some lines, and many cross lines and straight lines and these. And second thing, these ostrich eggshells are painted also. They put color also. Actually, those people have used these ostrich eggshells as a container to keep water. And after dating, these shells goes to 60,000 years old. So you can see the art, this have started long time back. Another piece is again found from Africa only, from Namibia. There is a cave known as Apollo 11 cave, and there they found this one piece. It's, of course, it's a broken piece. This is the first figurative art found in Africa, and in the front part is a no, look like a antelope body, and this back part is like a human body. So this is the first composite figure that goes to this goes to 30,000 years back old. And this discovery have been done in 1967. That year only Apollo 11 launched, so they have given the name of that cave is also Apollo 11. As I said, we have a lot of rock art. Originates in Africa, where modern human first emerged. After that, we have Australia and America. So you see this particular drawing, these engravings of giraffe, at the huge size of giraffe, is from Nigeria, Africa. Then this painting, these running animals are also from Africa, Algeria. This one is again from Africa, this human women body. And these two figures, this one and these two figures are from Australia, from Kakadu National Park, Darwin. And you see these paintings are known as X-ray lines. All these figures are part of their ritual and ceremonies, and they have a lot of stories connected to these drawings. And this particular big panel is from South America, from Colorado region. And this is known as white shamans. And so you see the varieties and types of rock art we can see everywhere all around the world. Then in Indonesia, I think everybody is aware that recently we came to know a lot of things about Indonesia. In Indonesia, they have found 60,000 years old rock art, and that is found in Sulawesi cave. You can see here hand stencils, hand stencils, and this big. What is going on? Sorry. Oh. So this big wild boar and this extinct species found in Indonesia. So in Asia also we have 60,000 years old rock art. This big panel is come from France, a well-known cave known as Chauvet Cave. And this panel goes to 35,000 years old art. And here, what you can see, the early artists were so perfect in painting. They use perspective, shadings, and expressions. Everything is there in these panels. And I'm fortunate I was able to visit this particular cave, and I've noticed there is a huge horse panel, and the horses are so lively painted, and their eyes are full of expressions. I'm also an artist, so I was so touched seeing that art, and I was thinking, just these paintings have been done with charcoal. And that is why it is possible to date them, because it's easy to date charcoal with C14 method. So all these art is very naturalistic, very expressive, very lively. And this panel goes to nearly 35,000 years old art. Other than paintings in Europe, they found a lot of portable art. People have started painting these small replicas, these small pieces. Like here you see, this one is made with ivory. This is from Venus. Venus, they made like a pendant. Here you see there is a small hole. One can use it as a necklace or as a pendant. And sorry. This one is well-known lion man, because its head is like a lion and body is like a man. This is again made with ivory. And this Venus is from France. And this mammoth is again made with ivory, this lion head. And the interesting thing, you can see on top of their body, the same crosses are there. what we have seen in there's hematite is having the similar kind of crosses here also see. So in the early phase, these kind of drawing engravings were quite popular, or that shows the beginning of drawings or carvings. In India, we also found portable art. We have found Dr. Wakankar, my guru, and his students. They found a lot of ostrich eggshell beads and fragments in Central Indian rock in Central India. And during excavations, they found also in Patna. Mr. Sali found some ostrich eggshells. So you see this particular eggshell got same cross design. And here you see these pieces of ostrich eggshells. Here you see the beads. They made a hole. They tried to make it as a bead. So when Dr. Wakankar was working on Bhimbetka, he found during the excavation in one Upper Paleolithic burial with the skeleton near his neck, they found some ostrich eggshell beads. So probably they made a necklace to put on as to the use of ostrich eggshell beads. Also, we have found ostrich image in India, in rock art, not far from Bhopal. It's in the Kathotia National Park. And of course, you can see this figure very clearly because I use a special software known as D-Stretch. After using that software, the art is enhanced and people can see it very clearly. Otherwise, rock art is not in a very good condition. These paintings are made in open shelters. We don't have any cave as such. So these open shelters are facing a lot of weathering effects. So paintings are, damaging, faints, and anything. So I try to enhance them so that people can, you all can understand them better. Now I'll tell you, see the mother, India. So in India, we have hundreds of painted shelters and engraved boulders, all known from nearly Indian states. Here you see this all yellow part, we have rock art. We start from Himalayas, from Ladakh, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand. Of course, we have art in Haryana also, in Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, here Jharkhand, Bihar, here Assam, Manipur, Mizoram, we have some engravings are here. Then in Orissa, in Chhattisgarh, Maharashtra, Goa, we have art. In Telangana, Karnataka, Goa, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, nearly all these states are having rock art. So the rock art history in India is more than 100 years old. The first rock art have been discovered in India by an Englishman, Archibald Carlyle. He discovered rock art in Mirzapur area and Kemur ranges in 1867. But unfortunately, that time he didn't know anything about rock art. This discovery was in India, the discovery done before the discovery of Altamira in Europe, in Spain. 12 years before the discovery of Altamira, this rock art discovery had been done in India. But unfortunately, he didn't know anything. After his death, one of his friends, Vincent Smith, found his notes and he started publishing about it. By the time John Cockburn did a lot of work in that area. This is how Indian rock art came in the light. And after that, lot of researches and exploration and discoveries have been going on and is still going on. Every time we are finding something new because it's like a hidden treasure in our forest area. Always you search, you found some new site, some new area. So it's like that. Now in Ladakh, so we have rock art in Himalayas also. So in Ladakh, rock art have been discovered in 1896 to 97. There was one Moravian German August Herman. He came there as a church missionary, but instead of that, he worked more on Ladakh petroglyphs and all around he discovered, explored many boulders there, and he worked all around the Karakoram highway. So you see, this is the Indus River. All around, parallel the Indus River, we have found many petroglyph engraved boulders. Here you see the close-up Indus River, and next to it there are boulders, and all these boulders are having engravings. The subject is animals, hunting scenes, some signs and symbols. And later on, we can see the impact of Buddhism also. We have seen a lot of stupas also in Ladakh rock art. Here you see the ibex. The ibex is a very popular and important animal in their culture. You can see here, and here you see the stupa, and in the Indus River, so crystal clear water, or next to it you see there are so many boulders and are engraved with stupas and other things like that. Then you see the geoglyphs. This is the almost life-size elephants engraved at Konkan area in Ratnagiri. The local researchers from Ratnagiri, they did extensive work there, and they found many geoglyphs in that area. And you see the size of the geoglyph and little stylish pattern. And this one is an elephant. So now we are in Madhya Pradesh. We are near Bhimbetka. So between 1957 and 1987, my guru, Dr. Wakankar, he did extensively, he explored rock art sites in India. He did a lot of work. And the most important work he did, the discovery of Bhimbetka rock art sites. So you see, this is the shelters, Bhimbetka shelters. The shelter itself is so attractive. And see here, paintings are here, and this is well protected because the site got excavated also. And we have found many handprints also here. So that shows that site was very auspicious, sacred, and people have performed many rituals and ceremonies there. Another shelter is there. This is the most important shelter, known as auditorium shelter. This shelter is also there is a huge size shelter, and many rock art are there. Bhimbetka is having very early phases there. Probably we have Upper Paleolithic period to late, very recent rock art is there. All periods are there. Because in rock art, we have 5-6 different time frames are there. We can start from Upper Paleolithic, then Mesolithic, then Neolithic, then early historic, medieval, and then recent. Medieval stopped nearly 1314 AD, 100 AD. And after that, the recent time start. Even that late phase, we have seen many ritualistic ceremonial figures are there. And still in some hidden places, these local tribes are practicing and worshipping those images and sites. So the point is how they have prepared colored. I mean, imagine if we just think about time machine, if we go back to 10,000 years back, and there was nothing, just forest, animals, and nothing is there. And in such a harsh and difficult and challenging time, people have created something. So I'm sure it was not just to decorate the art, just to decorate the walls. They were living in such a difficult time. How come one can think of just painting the wall or making something? So this art have some connection with their spirituality. And to make that, they have created color. Color is all natural color. They're collected from these all the mineral colors. Hematite you get easily in central India. There's no problem. Even everywhere, all around the world, people have made the same color. Hematite, white, kaolin or lime. Yellow, of course, you get yellow color, yellow minerals also. Green is very rare, of course. Manganese is easy. So these kind of, they made colors, and brush, of course, still if you see in the remote forest area, these tribes, they made brush out of soft bamboo twig. They just crushed bamboo twig and they made brush, and still they are using it for painting, and similar colors they are using for their ritual paintings. And for as a binder, most of the time they dilute the color with water, but sometimes they use probably some glue, egg, blood. There are possibilities of using, and some tests have been done, and they found these materials also in it. So Bhimbetka have been declared as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2003. This is the only rock art site in India which comes under World Heritage Site. And it's very different, very unique, very important rock art site. Of course, this site is having more than 500 rock shelters are there, and few shelters are open for the public to visit them. So this particular shelter is very important, and you can see here there is a big wild boar is painted here, and in front of the wild boar you can see this enhanced art. The small human is running in front. In front of human there is a big crab. Crab is also here, and behind it few humans are standing next to it. There is another wild boar. So why wild boar? And wild boar, it's a huge art. They are not hunting it, they are not killing it. It's a defied animal. Probably they are worshipping it, or they wanted to show some importance of it. And interestingly, this wild boar is still very important among the present tribes in central India, particularly Korkus and Gonds. For Korkus, they worship every after 5 or 7 years, they have a big ritual for earth, for Bhumi Puja, they said. So during that, it is compulsory to sacrifice or offer wild boar or pig to Mother Earth. The story behind it, they said, they believe that this wild boar, once upon a time, I mean, he went to Patal Lok from the third world, he brought mud in his tooth, and because of that mud, the earth is formed, and they worship, like kind of a story they are having. And the tradition is still going on. Then among the goats, they also organize time to time the big worship for their ancestors. And the second offering of wild boar is must. Even during Gond's wedding, the offering of wild boar is must. Without that, the first thing is this, and after that, their wedding ritual starts. So it's a kind of tradition which is going on, is still going on. Continuity is still there. Yeah, as I said, green color is very rare and difficult to form. At Bhimbetka, Dr. Wakankar found during excavation in one of the upper Paleolithic layer, he found green color noodle, and that noodle was used. Probably people made painting out of that, or they rub it to prepare color. So on the basis of that, he said that green color paintings goes to Upper Paleolithic time, because that typical style of painting, you see these figures are very artistic. They are in a S-shaped figure, dancing, and just one line, not much. They have not done much. That's just they made one line and paint. Another green painting is this. This one is more clear. You can see it's a S-shaped figure. Just one line like this, that's it. And they are in a dancing figure. Here you see these red figures also. These red figures are on top of the green. So this is known as superimposed paintings, because this is very interesting to know that all these shelters are superimposed. Like people from Mesolithic or early phase came, they paint the whole shelter. After that, another people came from different time, probably Chalcolithic time, they have also painted. Then early historic people, historic, recent, everybody used that shelter. So all these shelters, of course, hundreds and thousands of shelters we have, but maximum all these shelters are having superimposition or overlapping. Many layers are there. Why? That's another reason to think. Probably they found some wives, some power there. Maybe they thought it was used by their ancestors, so it's sacred. It's important for them. So people have used them again and again. And sometimes we see a very nice plain shelter is there, empty. Nobody have used it, but their reputations are there. They could have used that shelter to paint, but no. People have used the same places. Like, just think, we used to go in one temple. Temple is so old, 1,000, 1,500 years old temple. Everybody is going there again and again. So that's a question of faith and belief. And people have, their belief system is always connected with these paintings, this art. Here also, this figure I de-stressed. So you can see this big buffalo, wild boar, and there is a one pregnant, and it's a pregnant. You can see the small fetus inside. And the interesting thing is, behind this animal, you can see many green figures, many S-shaped figures, dancing figures are there. You can see this. So these green paintings are the oldest rock art in our country. That goes to Upper Paleolithic time as per Dr. Wakankar. Here you see this green color. But interestingly, this time the green painting is on top of the red. Probably that was the transition time when people were using both color and making paintings, something. Now here you see the same style in red color. S-shaped figures. The dancing figures are in red color. This is early phase, and on top of it, they made so many deer. At the group herd of deer, you can see in white color. And there is a different style, different patterns, and made by different people, different periods, like that. Yeah. So you see, in Mesolithic time, people have started hunting also. So they have prepared everything. They learned how to use bows and arrows to hunt. They made bows and arrows. Even before that, they have learned how to make tools. They made handeks. They made tools out of stones. This is all it's a kind of discovery and learning and civilization or development can be seen in rock art. And here you see this very important panel, elephant, and next to you can see the baby elephants, and in front you see the bamboo bushes probably. So they show flora, fauna, everything is there in rock art. Some figures have been painted with dots. See these dotted figures? And in front of it, this hunter is standing. So in early phase, you see animals are very naturally done, huge size animals you can see. But humans were very small because till that time they didn't know they are also very important. For them, animals are very important and they were always trying to control them or trying to hunt them. And gradually they have learned how to control them or how to how to kill them. So here you see they have they are keeping many arrows, and all these arrows are well tipped. So they have used small microliths. They have learned to make small knives, arrowheads, spearheads out of stones, and to fix it in those arrows and to kill it, even for a spear. So this is it's a very good example. This hunter is just standing with many arrows, and one bow is holding bow also here. And the whole panel is done in white. Another good example of superimposition, as I said, the art is sometimes you see there are so many layers, it's difficult to study and understand. Here you can see there are so much of jumble. They made paintings on top of the same art many times. Probably they found this particular area is very auspicious or sacred or important for them. Now, another thing is they are here you see the hunting scene, the all people are chasing. So, and one very important thing, if you remember few years back or maybe a decade back, all people used to talk prehistoric men, prehistoric hunter, prehistoric men did this, did that. They never mentioned women, which is, and surprisingly, you will see in this hunting scene, all men and women are participating. So we cannot say what we are facing right now. Patriarchal society is here, but not necessary 10,000 years back or 7,000 years back, we had the same kind of society. No, that time women were equally participating every role in for hunting, for any kind of work they are doing together. So I'll give you some more examples. Yeah, there is and yeah, as I said, in Mesolithic time, we have seen many divided animals. They are not killing, they are not hunting them. They just made a full size of animal. So there is another example of elephants from, of course, from Pachmadi area. Another this scene, and in early phase, we have noticed many use signs and symbols. And if you watch it carefully, just see the perfection of design. All these designs are so perfect, and the rock, this is a bare rock, very rough surface. I experimented, and it's very difficult to paint something, and they made such a huge panel of drawing designs, and next to it there is a big peacock. So these figures, these symbols and animal, they have some connection, some stories that we don't know because it's very early phase. But these similar kind of thing is still going on, is still tribes, they make signs and symbols, and according to them, their ancestors' soul reside in those souls, on those signs. So probably they have the similar purpose of making these big signs in early phase. Here you see the very sketchy hunter keep holding a big bow, arrows, and porcupine next to it. And see, the style of painting is so advanced, so sketchy, but so attractive. Another big sign, as I said, in early phase, this is from Rajasthan. There is a big sign. This one is from Pachmari, of course. This one is from Rajasthan. They made such a big sign. Yeah, the women, importance of women we have seen in early phase. There is a one particular shelter near Darul area. It's nearly 21-meter long shelter. The shelter is full of these women representation, full of vulvas, and nothing is there. So why? What is the reason? They have not painted anything, and it's fully engraved shelter. So it means it was a place for ceremonies. Probably people used to go there for puberty ceremony, for during pregnancy or childbirth. This shelter was related with women rituals. And you don't see anything. And that ritual is still going on. It's still in South India when a young girl, when he touches his menstruation, it's a kind of celebration. So that tradition probably started long time back. And not only in India, this kind of picture signs I have seen in many European caves also. So we have kind of tradition. It's quite from early time. Now, from Bhimbetka, you see the women, it's a huge belly, it's a pregnant woman, and interestingly, it's a childbirth. The baby is coming out. You can see there the small child, very small. Here also something is coming out. Of course, the painting is not in a very good condition, but after enhancing with these stretch, we can see it. And some people are standing to probably help them for delivery, for childbirth. So that shows the importance of women, importance of childbirth, kind of thing have been shown there. Another one, the hunter, she is a pregnant woman, pregnant hunter. You can see the big belly. and it's a Mesolithic period art, and she's holding up big arrows and bows. So who said this? It's done by only prehistoric men. No, it was prehistoric women also. You participated equally. They were so equal in that time. Everybody was doing all kind of work together. So this is a very good example that and why they have depicted it, probably they wanted to show it so challenging. The pregnant woman is going to hunt. Now, this image is from Chhattisgarh. Here you see now we are coming to little different subject. Yeah, okay. Anyway, we'll discuss that later. See, these hand stencils is again very important theme in rock art. It is, the hand stencils are again all around the world, not only in India. Of course, in India we have not many. So these are not print. Hand prints are different. Hand stencils are different. To make hand stencils, they used to put hand on the wall and then they spray color on it. And then you remove your hand, so you get hand stencils. So spraying color was also a different type. Like they put color in their mouth and spray, or maybe they use kind of tube to put it, probably a tube, I mean natural, of course, from some plant. They make tube to put flow color. And these hands are, all people's hands are there. Like I studied them, male, all age group, even children's hands are there, different, and the hands are not just like they made it. They have some gesture, some language, some story are related with these handprints. Some more handprints you can see, hand stencils you can see. So these hand stencils are so old. It starts from Upper Paleolithic, Mesolithic time, and the tradition of hand printing is still going on in our country. Not everywhere, but in our country, hand printing and foot printing is still going on. Of course, we found foot printing also. Here you see, after de-stretch, you can see these hand stencils. They spread color all around, and there are many hand stencil sites. Another interesting scene of animals. You see, there is a tree, and both we don't know a story. It's early phase. We really can't say much about it. Then there is a rock art in, it's a Chaturbhuj Nath Nala. It's again in Madhya Pradesh. It's a very long gallery, a rock art gallery, and they have beautiful rock art. And here you see we have rhinos also. Rhinos is showing the climatic conditions, environment, because in Chalcolithic time, till Chalcolithic time, we have rhinos in central India. Now it's totally extinct, but we have seen some rhinos in Chaturbhuj Natnala area and also in Raisen area. So rock art is a kind of story of development. We can see the different time period in rock art. Now, when we come to after Mesolithic, when we come to Neolithic time, Chalcolithic time. So in Chalcolithic time, we have started seeing a lot of humped bull. Before that, we have not seen humped bull. We have seen a lot of bisons and wild buffaloes. But from this stage, they have started introducing humped bull. People have learned how to make bullock carts, how to plow, how to cultivate, how to domestication started in Neolithic time. Agriculture has started. So we see the different phases of life. Of civilization can be seen in rock art. This shelter is from Rajasthan, Bundi area. Here you see so many humble have been painted here. People have started making small carts, chariots kind of thing, and wheels have started making in Chalcolithic time. Here you see another very interesting ritual scene. People are dancing. Many humans, boys are dancing, and a lot of handprints are there. And wild boar is also. The boar and dance is connected. The ritual is showing. Probably after dance, they will sacrifice it, or they have some connection with this scene. In Chalcolithic time, we see many varieties of animals, you see, and all are painted in white and well decorated. Here again, you see this scene, there fight archers, and it's again a superimposition. You see many archers are on top of the early phase. And we have seen a lot of fighting scenes also in rock art. Even in medieval time, there are many war scenes also there. Here you see these figures, probably they are women. They are all are going with bows and arrows. To see their body and shape, they looks like women are running to fight. Probably everybody is holding bows and arrows. Yeah, Rocket is having a fish hunting scene also, and they used to hunt fish with bows and arrows. Honey collection is there. Honey collection is a very important subject because honeys are very important, and it is the best dessert from the prehistoric time people are having. We have seen many honey collection scenes in rock art, particularly in Pachmadi. I have seen plenty of honey collection scenes, and they have many stories about it. They knew how to collect honey. They, with the help of music, even when they beat drum, they sing song, they play harp to create a lot of vibration to drive away the bees to collect honeys. They have some very old techniques to collect honey. Now, as I was telling, the signs and symbols we have seen in later phase also. This particular shelter is in Chhattisgarh, known as Usha Koti shelter. It's a huge shelter, and just one subject is there. It's full of signs and symbols. Very few animals or human images are there. They must be having some connection with these signs. And as per the local people, they believe these signs, they made it in the remembrance of their ancestors, and they believe their ancestors' souls reside in these signs. Yeah, and now you see these signs have been worshipped as. It's a very important for local, those who are staying surrounding area. This one is from and here below there is a coconut. People came and worshipped the site, and I have found a lot of coconut and yagna and lamps and many things were there. In rock art, we have found the Buddhist impact also. A lot of Buddhist time period paintings are there. This is the very rare portrait of Buddha in rock art. We found it in Madhya Pradesh, not far from Bhopal, in Vidisha. And here you see this is the stupa, and there is Ashokan Brahmi inscription is written there, and near the stupas are there. So it's a very rare depiction of Buddha portrait. As I said, there are handprints and footprints also in rock art. You see, it's from Chhattisgarh. People make a lot of the handprints and footprints during Janmashtami in that area. And they have a lot of stories and beliefs about it. And now we are in the historic time, late historic phase. Here you see that the drawing of humans have changed. You see, the perfection you can see. He's the human figures are so different, style is so different, drawing is so different. Of course, they are known as headhunters. He's holding a head and going. Probably they had a fight among two groups, and the winners are holding heads, like stories there. Then we have, this is the late phase, and see the animals, elephants are very well decorated, elephants are there. Mahavut is taking them. Rock art is known for music and dance also. I have found many musical and dancing scenes are there. Yes, you see the women is dancing. Here, mother with 3 kids is dancing. There is dancing scenes are here. And singing, probably because you see, if you watch it carefully, this woman is her mouth is open. Here again, her mouth is open. They are all singing, and these peacocks are sitting next to them. So all varieties of scenes are there in rock art. Here you see the long, these are nearly 42 figures are dancing. You know, still you see among the tribals, the karma dance, when they do, there are many people. It's a big group, they dance, and similar kind of step and dance are still popular among the tribes. Here, these people are dancing and putting on mask and animal hide, and it's a kind, some celebration is going on. Again, you see here, they are playing drum and dancing. But in this dance is different, because here they are holding sword, shield, probably they are going for war. Before war, they are announcing, alarming people that we are coming for a war. See, similar thing you see here, this people is also blowing the long pipe here again and going for a war. Here you see there, this one is they are just relaxing and dancing, but basically they are hunter and gatherers because of their bows and arrows are here. And sorry. And this figure is playing harp. This figure is playing harp. They are dancing. Probably this one is singing to see his pose. And here below, these two figures are playing harp, and all these figures are dancing. So it's interesting to see music and dance have already started long time back. And here again, you see people are dancing and playing harp. They are women, these figures are dancing, playing drum and pipe. Here you see this medieval time where people were going for a war. This Mahavut and sitting with probably it's a chief, or they are riding elephants and going for war. You see it's a war scene from Bhimbetka, late phase. As I said, we have all periods in at one shelter, you can see. Now this is a very late phase, late time. Here you see the people are again fighting. It's again a war scene. You see this one. Now we see the ceremonial figures. People, these scenes are very close to ceremonial scenes, but people are still making them. We said these are the recent art because it's not very old, and the similar culture is still people are making on their house walls a similar kind of drawings, similar patterns for worship, you know. See, these signs still people make for worship and puja, and tribes also make for their rituals similar signs. Now, the art is still going on. As I said, it's a living tradition. Of course, the style, the painting, the subject is little changed. Now, this one is from Rajasthan. And here you see people made many dots, tridents, some marks, swastika, and they worshipped it. And next to it, there is a rock art also. So you see the changes. The art is not vanished, but it's transformed. It's a transformation of living tradition, but tradition is still continuing. Here, and another thing is sometimes the rock art is there, but the people, they don't know the importance of rock art, or maybe they don't have any connection with that early art, but they feel the place is very sacred, nice. So they started making their own god. They kept, see, this is a very good example from Chhattisgarh rock art. The place is Benipat, I think, and the site is converted into a sanctuary and they are worshipping it. Here, where the shaman is worshipping the area before starting, before going for rock art, because there are many incidents happen with me because I'm working in this field almost completing 35 years. And sometime what happened when I was working, I'm in the somewhere in remote forest area with these local people and guard and forest guards. So once what happened, I was working. It was a very difficult site. We reached on top of there, and the moment I reached, I was started watching sites, paintings, and I realized those two people who came with me. Where are they? And I saw outside they were worshipping. They were performing ritual. They brought that mahua liquor because mahua liquor is very auspicious. Their ritual is incomplete without it. And they put coconut worship, and they were reciting some chants. And when I come back, I saw them after finishing their ritual. I asked them, "What are you doing? Why have you done this?" So they said, "The place where you came, it's totally forbidden for women. No, not a single girl child can come here, but you came here, so we are performing this ritual for your safety." I was so touched. People are so simple, so nice, so helping, and they have such a strong faith and belief with these rock art sites. So now the painting subject is similar, but place have changed. This is a Saura art from Orissa. You see, the subject is very similar, but the style of has changed, place has changed. Now they left shelters, but they started making in their house. And again, this art is not for a decoration. They made it only for particular time, for particular purpose. After they just removed it, they painted, whitewashed it. So so this is the point, that art is not for decoration. It's just for the purpose. This one is from Chhattisgarh. These are the memory pillars. When somebody's died in their family, they organize a big ritual, and within some certain time, 10 years or 12 years, it is compulsory to make kind of memory pillars. And the subject of memory pillar is similar to the rock art. So see, the art, the style, the faith and belief is shifting, but it's still going on. This one is famous pithera from Jhabua area. The Bheels, they make pithera, and it's made by them only. And see the subject, elephants, animals, dance, everything is there. Now, another sad part is vandalism. How people are damaging this is an important art. It is our oldest heritage. We should respect them. We should try to preserve it, not to damage it. See so much of graffiti on top of the rock art. You see this, the full rock art side, the full panel is full of people's name here. Again, somebody came and he put lot of efforts to engraved shelter on top of the paintings, and after these stretch we found such a nice tiger image is there on top of his inscription. When I was working in Pachmadi area, and after doing lot of work and projects, I've suggested to protect some rock art sites, and forest department took initiative, and they protected some sites in Pachmadi area. You can see the examples. Similar thing we did in Ladakh also. In Ladakh also, I have noticed lot of boulders have been damaged for construction purpose. So we tried to save some sites, and there was a site near the army area in Karu. And when my husband was posted there, we tried to save some rock art site. We converted into a Trishul Petroglyph Park. So kind of efforts we have to take as an individual to protect the oldest heritage is very important for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Meenakshi. Thank you. You not only showed us beautiful rock art from in and around India and around the world, you also made us realize that these are not just objects of aesthetic appreciation, but historic timelines which talk about the lifestyle of the people who lived there, what they did for their lifestyle, how they hunted, what animals they domesticated, and of course, their spirituality and religious beliefs. Yeah, I think we can move on to the question and answer session now.
Sure.
To moderate the session today, we have Rangaratnam Gopu with us. Gopu is a history and heritage enthusiast with special interests in epigraphy and Indian astronomy. He has both written and talked proliferously on these two subjects. He is also one of the oldest and core members of Tamil Heritage Trust. Welcome to you, Gopu. You can take over the question answer session now.
Thank you. Thank you, Gauri, and thank you, Dr. Meenakshi, for such a wonderful lecture.
Thank you.
We raised a lot of questions. You've shown us a lot of wonderful pictures. I think our Tamil Heritage Trust group, we visited Bhimbetka as part of one of our site seminars. So some of us are, we just saw it for about 2.5 hours. So not very, it was still exciting. My first question is Bhimbetka, I know it is the only recognized rock art site in India. But is it the only site in Madhya Pradesh, or is it just because you showed a lot of areas, territories all around Madhya Pradesh, Jharkhand,
Yeah.
Chhattisgarh?
We have many. I said Kathotia, Raisen, the whole Raisen district is having many rock art sites. Sihor, Madhya Pradesh, though nearly each and every district is having rock art. Of course, I didn't mention every area's name, but the images I have shown not only from Bhimbetka, from all around different places also. Yeah. But of course, Bhimbetka rock art is quite important because of its quality and subject, is particularly Raisen rock art, I can say. The whole Raisen district is very important for rock art because the style is very advanced, very good, and subject is quite mature and really very interesting, I can say.
Right. So I'm going to start with another obvious question, basically,
Mhm.
because we consider rock art as something that we associate with prehistoric people, hunter-gatherer societies. In fact, you started with the talk about, rock art from 60,000 years ago across Africa, Australia, Europe,
It's
and North
always
and South America.
Mhm.
But Bhimbetka, you're bringing it to the modern, almost to the modern era. You're talking about medieval art and modern art, 1400, 1400 AD is 1,000 years after Ajanta. So, right?
No, I think you missed something. I talked about Bhimbetka when I showed you those green paintings.
Yeah.
They are very early. And then I showed
Okay.
you really
See,
thick
no, no,
tiny also.
I
That,
agree that some of the oldest paintings there are very old, but I'm saying there
uh,
are some paintings there that are also very recent caliber.
yes,
Isn't that
yes.
what you said?
Yeah.
Right.
We
So
have
it comes,
recent also medieval, everything is there. So probably that was the time simultaneously they were making Ajanta was going on, and people, the forest people were making rock art also. That's quite possible. Yeah, because we are touching recent, still people are making, I said. So,
right.
yeah.
That's kind of what to point out, because
Mhm.
that except experts like you, most people don't understand or know that. When we first discovered that, heard about that, we were quite bewildered, because we thought, the era of rock art ended well before Indus Valley or whatever, right? Prehistoric people and all that. But it is continuing, until the recent 300, 400 years even.
Yes.
Yeah, we
So
only
you
talk
see,
about early painting traditions in rock art. We don't think of it as transcending this period to nearly till recent
Yeah,
modern times.
in fact, we are fortunate that we have this living tradition. Other than India, there is in Africa and Australia also. In Europe, of course, it's finished long time back. But in
a
Africa,
living
people
tradition.
are doing. In Australia, they are still going on. Yeah.
It's a living
Sorry.
tradition in Australia and America, you say.
Australia and Africa.
Africa. Okay.
Yeah, the
Okay.
sand bushmen, they are still worshipping, still they organize rituals at the site, they have a lot of faith and belief in it. In Australia.
So So when you show us pictures of elephants with ornamentation, and Buddha with the stupa supposed to be rock art. So
Mhm.
these are forest societies that are looking at contemporary modern societies and taking some, narrating or drawing this, recording those scenes that they see outside their society, right?
Yeah, and another thing is when we see these stupas in many sites in the surrounding area of Sanchi, Vidisha, so probably monks will reside on those shelters later on. And
Okay.
possibly they made it because, of course, I cannot show you everything. It's in a short time, but there are many inscriptions we found in Shanklipi, Konch Lipi inscriptions and things. So it was made by those monks because they have occupied those shelters and caves in particular time. So
Okay.
we see a very different phases and time in rock art.
Right. So, but from the scenes, we see that most of the themes that they're using are stories like, their own activities, right? Hunting scenes and dance and music, art, group activities, and so on. But they don't have their own, elaborate stories. It's just a depiction of real life, not of their any legends or stories, things like
Oh,
that,
they
right?
have many, many stories and legends, but I don't think I have enough time to talk about it. If I talk about the stories, it will take a lot of time. But I have already published a lot about the stories and things about their belief system. Of course, they have plenty of stories. For example, I'll tell you, I have seen some depictions of tigers in rock art at Pachmadi. Okay, there's a late phase, of course. So people are riding tigers. How can it possible somebody's riding a tiger? I was amazed when I saw all that. So I interviewed 100 years old shaman. Of course, he's passed away last few years back. So he narrated a lot of stories to me, and he said when he was a young boy, his father, his grandfather, they used to call tiger. They know how to call it. They know how to control it. They have chance. These beggar tribes, they know how to control. They used to know how to control tiger. Whenever they pass in the jungle, they recite some chants, and tiger will go away. It will not harm them. So similar story he said during Diwali, the tiger used to come to their house and they used to take their cattle in the forest area, and they were together, and they so similar story we have seen in rock art also. I saw this, but I have already published all that. The article is already published. I published many articles about it.
That's
A lot of
that's
stories are there about honeybees. I just came to know. They said whenever they go to collect honeybee, they perform a ritual. Fine, ritual is okay, but they all sing. They sit and sing songs in their language for this. That honeybees, please, are you sleeping or awake, and can we collect honey and kind of thing. So the sound is create vibration, and probably with that vibe, the honeybees get off. And even they use music. They play drums. And this is all we have seen in rock art. So rock art is such a vast subject. I think for each lecture we need one particular subject. Then only one can talk about it. Honey collection, okay, only honey collection. Music, only music. There are so much. So they have plenty of stories.
that's
Yeah.
amazing. That's really amazing. That
Yeah, unfortunately, the rock art is not very popular among us in our country. Many people even don't know what is rock art, they have not seen it. So that's the problem. And
I,
yeah,
I
Jesus.
the next speaker is going to talk about Ajanta. He will
Yes.
tell you most of us don't know Indian art either. We know some of Western art, and that's it. We know cinema more than Indian art, so it's not just rock art, sadly.
Mhm.
Uh, so my other question was about the depiction of women in the hunting scenes. This is the first time I'm hearing of that.
Very
I have not. Is this confined to just some sites here? Is a worldwide phenomena? Which
It's a
sites are this?
worldwide phenomena. It's worldwide. Now people are talking about it. A lot of gender studies and this thing is going on because this was not only a men's world. Prehistoric time was for equal for both of us, and women were equally participated. You see, if you see, there are many in Philippines and in many islands. There are still women are hunter, and they are hunting and working, and they are taking care of their family. It's nothing is new actually. It's over a period of time. People, this a mindset, I should say. People
Yeah, in
cannot
fact, showing those
imagine.
pregnant women hunting and all shows that
Yeah,
it was part of their life. They didn't treat
of course, it's a
pregnancy or
mindset.
childbirth or anything special. Like
It
it
was
just
very
continued. Yeah,
normal.
yeah, normal.
It's
Yeah,
a mindset that people
yeah.
can accept it. They think only men can hunt or men can do
Mm.
it. It's not like that. So a lot of studies are going on worldwide on particular this subject.
Okay.
Women
From
in
our audience
art.
question, Rajesh Garga has, do we have geoglyphs of massive sizes like Nazca lines
Yeah,
It's,
Nazca
it's
lines is something different. It's huge in Peru. It's well known. But we have
he's
geoglyphs
asking
in Ratnagiri, as I said, in Konkan area. I have already told this. We have geoglyphs of life-size geoglyphs are there. Mhm.
So he has another question whether rock art can be chronologically ordered. Is there
Yeah,
starting from stick figures to abstract and realistic paintings? Is that something like that, or does it?
yeah, it's chronological order. As I said, we have Upper Paleolithic time, Mesolithic time, Chalcolithic, early historic, medieval, recent. All these
Uh,
phases
Oh,
are there. And his style is also there.
Uh-huh.
According
Is
to
there a
the
distinct
style, we
style
have
transformation?
identified them. Yeah, that's why I showed the green figures, very stylistic, the green shape figures. That goes to early time. But when I showed the late phase, the very mature anatomy of their. So, of course, there are different styles. And as per this style, the chronological order is there. Yeah.
how do you date these things? Mesolithic versus chalk. Is there carbon dating? Is there some other way
Oh,
of dating these?
dating is a big problem in our country, particularly because, like in Europe, they have paintings made with charcoal. So it's easy to date charcoal with C14. But we have pigments, people use pigments, the organic material. So it's very difficult to date it. But like in Indonesia, they date, that was also cave, inside the cave. So in cave, you get calcite deposition. So calcite deposition can be dated with uranium thorium. That we don't have. We have some in some shelters calcite, but that calcite containing a lot of gypsum and other minerals. So we cannot date. The dating is a very big problem in our country. So mostly we are following a stylistic pattern according to the style they are divided. And it's a very universal standardized way it was done. It was started by Dr. Wakankar long time back. And then another thing is they have been dated with the excavation when they found something like, as I said, they found green noodles they found in Upper Paleolithic layer, or they found ostrich eggshells in the Upper Paleolithic burial. So, it's possible that way. But dating is a very big, very complex problem with, especially with open rock art made with mineral colors, and it's in the open shelter. These art is polluted because it's open. Inside the cave, art is quite safe. People, and in Europe, in many caves are closed for public. People cannot go there, only for studies purpose. And they made replicas where people can go and visit those replicas. But here in India, all shelters are open. People are touching. We are not supposed to touch the art, but people are touching it. They are making vandalizing it. So if we date them, we won't get the real date because they are already polluted. They are not good, and it's difficult to date also. Yeah, please.
We have sort of a mischievous question on that theme by Aditya Nair. He said, you talk about superimposition, that is one layer, people, drawing over the previous layer, and whereas with something we find in actually temples and other, even in Ajanta and classical monuments. But he's asking, would you consider vandalism also superimposition because people of this generation are doing the same thing?
Yeah, yeah. We said it's in some places I found, so we said it's a ritually vandalized. In that case, what I show, one rock art site, I showed that people made handprints on top of it and they are worshipping. So I published an article about ritually vandalized rock art. So their purpose is very different of vandalism.
Right.
Yes, we put it in a different category, but this just putting your names and thing is not an art. It is simple graffitis and you are damaging it.
M.V. Bhaskar asks, you use the term signs and symbols. Do they mean something different? How do you define them? Is there a difference?
Yeah,
Signs and
no, their science have started, we can see from Mesolithic time. We have seen a very huge science, different science, but we cannot give exact meaning of it because it's
Hmm.
very, but when we see science in late phases and when see their meaning, so it's a hypothesis. We feel, okay, there is some kind of relation is there of making these signs because now the present time or little bit early time, they said they are ancestors reside, souls reside in these signs. That's why we make these signs. Or they say for what we say, they said when their ancestors comes in their dream, they ask them to make drawing. You made this, you made that. So kind of drawings or signs they made. So these kind of stories are there. But exactly, it's very difficult to say anything about early 10,000 years old art. We don't know anything. We were not there. But just some hypotheses are there, you know.
Okay. Okay. Um, so we don't have somebody asks for about recommendation on good books about rock art. We'll get that off you and then we'll put that on our website so people can refer to it later, not just in the
Sure.
during the talk.
Yeah.
I suspect
I
Professor
have
Dr.
written
Karsa. Go ahead. Go
few.
ahead.
Yeah, I have written almost 5 books on rock art. One is on Pachmari with Dr. Jean-Claude. The book was on Madhya Pradesh. Book is on Chhattisgarh. And one book is on time and meaning. What we were talking about ritual vandalism, we talked about it. How early art and now the modern period art, what is going on, what all the changes happened, how those rock art sites are converting into a temple. For example, at Bhopal itself, there is a very huge temple known as Gufa Mandir. People have forgotten about that. We used to have Mesolithic art there. It was a full of rock art. The rock art is gone. It was occupied by some monks, and gradually it's become a temple. So these kind of practices are going on in the forest area also in many places, and rock art is vanishing that way. So we did a book and we talked about in this book about Ladakh, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, and Chhattisgarh. So these books are already available on Amazon. And if you want, I'll send you on. Other than that, there are many books on rock art by Dr. Wakankar, Dr. Matchpal, and many other people. They talked about Bhimbetka or other rock art site. Internationally, even Dr. Jean-Claude wrote many books on cave art. There are books on American rock art, Australian rock art, Russia, everywhere. Yes, everything is
Actually, in
available.
that context, I wanted to ask you,
Yeah.
because we are amateurs and you showed us rock art from around the world, it's not like we could particularly distinguish that this art is from India or from Africa or Australia. But is there anything distinct about Indian rock art so that an expert like you can look at it and say this is Indian?
Yeah, there is a style. The main thing is the style. When we see American rock art, they have very different style.
Oh,
Even in Europe, very naturalistic animals are there. Yeah, I mean, you can only identify it if you know about it. If you
yeah.
don't know, you cannot identify. How come? How can? It's difficult.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but distinct styles are very much there.
Yeah. As I showed you, Australian rock art is very different. Very different.
So even at the same time, man across the world had his own
Yes,
individualistic lifestyle of how he drew or painted
of course.
based on the climate and lifestyle and
Yeah,
everything.
of course, of course. See, Homo sapiens were everywhere. They were creating art. As I said, the condition and climate varies, and it's very important actually. Their environment, their condition, their climate, according to that, they made things, It's like that. Yeah.
You
In
mentioned there is, sorry,
So,
you mentioned, the use of things like perspective in some of the fairly ancient art.
yeah.
Uh, most art historians, from what I've heard during lectures, they think perspective was discovered sometime during the mid 14th, 15th century in the Renaissance period in Europe. But we have seen both perspective and reverse perspective in Ajanta art, for example.
Yeah.
But you're mentioning something in rock art, in thousands of years earlier.
Yeah, you
Uh,
see this rock art of Chauvet and Lascaux. Chauvet, it's a French pronunciation. It's Chauvet, maybe you see in English. So you see, and you will see those panels. Oh my God, it's full of expressions. Shadings are there. Beautiful shadings. Everything is there. Yes, of course. As I said, rock art is not very popular in among the artists also, among the art world also, because they said it's a subject of archaeology. It's very separate subject. So some
Yeah.
people didn't want to get into it, but it's a very different subject actually. Of course, archaeology involved when we talk about humans, they stayed there, they lived there. When we excavate, we found many things. But when you just see art, raw painting, so it's a very different phenomena.
Yeah, in
Right.
that sense, I also wanted to ask you that is there a slight clash between historic timelines and what rock art depicts? Like you say, Paleolithic, this, that. There is no other historic evidence to say that there was Paleolithic man in those areas, So, in that sense,
No,
that
no, it's not like that. There were people were there, like in Europe and other countries.
no, in India, I'm talking about.
In India, we have people, but there is a lot of we don't have so much of research have been done on.
Yeah. So there's
Yeah.
some sort of a mismatch between what the rock art reveals versus what historians or archaeologists have to say about a particular area, isn't it?
Yeah. But we found Upper Paleolithic burials. It means we have Upper Paleolithic people. At Bhimbetka itself, they found Upper Paleolithic burials, they found people. So they were here, of course.
Let me ask one more question about the large group paintings. You showed one where there are about 40 people dancing together.
Oh, yes.
Uh,
It's from Sindhi
right?
area in Madhya Pradesh. Yeah.
Okay. I know that there are village groups today that still do this. I mean, this is not tribal groups. These are settled village groups
Mhm.
where entire village comes to dance together to celebrate some village festival every year and so on. And there are different communities. Not everybody does that. There are certain communities that do that, others don't. And there are some of them are, like almost professional dancers. They go from village to village doing this kind of art, kind of stuff. Now, does this rock art represent village communities or does it represent the tribal societies? What are they recording? Because we are
I
seeing depictions.
They are representing tribal society, the people who already lived on those forest area. So, but now see, this everything has become so professional nowadays. As you said, the professional dancers they go. It's a question of earning now. I have seen in Chhattisgarh, in Bastar area, you see their dance. They dance beautiful. They are each and every culture associated with their particular music and dance. They don't repeat the dance. They don't repeat the same music or same songs. They have different chants. They have different type of dance. But now because of this professionalism, people inviting them, asking them to come for cultural shows and things, and they are dancing. It's very, I don't know what to say, but they are losing originality. When you see, I have attended some kind of dance, I see it's very repetitive, and they are doing out of duty. They have been asked to do it. They will get some money. They are doing it. But when the same dance, when you see in their society during their ritual, it's very different. Very different. That time they are full of energy, full of feelings. They have, it's very different. So I get chance to attend many rituals and ceremonies at their place, at their house, during in their village. It's very different.
So that brings me to the next question, which is a depiction of musical instruments like drums and other
Harp.
instruments. Drums, I think almost exclusively they same drums. There's
Hmm.
not are there any wind instruments, string instruments, etc.?
Harp
Harp.
is there.
Harp was there.
Harp is there.
Yeah.
Flute is there. Horns also we have seen, yeah,
Many
somewhere.
horns here.
Flutes are there.
And
Yeah,
then those pipes blowing war
pipes,
symbols.
flowing
Yeah.
pipes. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Everything is there. Yeah.
Are any of these contemporary or have they disappeared? Are they still in use in societies?
No,
Yeah.
see, they know how to make drums very well. These tribes, they don't buy drums from the market. They still make their own drums. They use horns,
Yeah.
and they make string instrument also. I
Uh,
interviewed one tribal
Sometimes
man, and
can you
he
see
knows. Yeah.
current instruments that people are making that are similar to the ones depicted in those musical
Yes,
paintings?
yes, yes. I got one. I got one from those tribe only. And yes, they are making by themselves those single or double, triple instrument, string instrument. But the harp we have seen in rock art, probably for painting, I feel that they were unable to depict as we see three-string harp, the design, maybe it was difficult for them to depict, or maybe they had a different type of harp. That is possible, but we don't see the exact kind of harp, but we see three-string, two-strings harp. Still, people, tribes are using, and they made it by themselves. They use bamboo for it. They use that gourd, locky, the round one gourd they use as a body for it. Then they use monitor lizard's skin, hide to cover it. And they use strings and, all these things. So I asked them to get one for me. So it was difficult for them. I said, no, don't kill any animal for me. Don't do that. But he was having some spare one. It was broken. Then he repair it, and I bought it from him. So it's like that, yeah.
Let me ask two more questions from the audience, and perhaps we can close the session and move on to the next one after that. Dr. Nagaraj Sharma asks, you showed a depiction of a boar and ritual worshipping and so on. Is this in any way related to the Varaha avatar in mythology?
Even the
Possibly.
story, she said, no, bringing mud, and that is how earth was created.
Yeah, you are right. But there are many stories are similar. What we came to know from tribal people and what we have in our Indian culture, all these. But we just can't say anything about it. Stories are there, and their similarities are there, but they have their different story. Even among the Korkus, we worship Shiv Parvati. They have different legends and stories about Shiv and Parvati. So it's very complicated thing, to who's the first one, who's the right one, who's started first worshipping Vara, or it's Sanatan culture or tribal culture, it's little complicated subject.
Dr. Rajani Devarajan asks, you mentioned the use of material like blood and other resin or
Binder.
something. I think you mentioned eggs also, right?
As binders.
Binders.
Binders, drawing material. So, is it just binders or drawing material also? Is it animal blood, tree, bark, resin? What are they using?
Yeah, probably they use these binders, but I mean, in some places they got tested and came to know, but mostly they use water also. It depends in place to places, like that. We cannot say exactly they use this or they use it. The possibilities are there, and that only we come to know after the pigment testing.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I'll ask one more question and wrap with that. Do you have any tiger hunt scenes that you can share?
Yes, I have, but right now it's difficult to share. I think I didn't put it tiger hunting in my
Okay, we can just
presentation,
perhaps
but
put it
we
on the
have
website.
some very rare. I'll tell you one. I have very interesting tiger scene, man-eater tiger. There is a tiger depiction in two step. In one scene, one step, tiger started eating a man. He just finished one leg of his. And in second step, tiger has finished entire man and just his one leg is left. It's very interesting scene. Maybe they wanted to show the story, there is a man-eater tiger. But normally we don't have many tiger hunting scenes, but tiger hunt scene are there.
That sounds like a stiff competition for the narrative panels of Ajanta.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Sure. Okay.
So we conclude with that. Move on
Yeah.
to the next
Thank
speaker.
you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you very
yeah.
much.
Thank you, Dr. Meenakshi,
Thank you.
for
Thank
such a wonderful lecture and for answering all our questions so patiently. And thank you, Gokul. I think we can move on to the second talk of the day.
Okay.
Yeah. Our second talk for today is titled Reading Ajanta Towards Understanding Narrative Paintings. I think all of us have heard of and seen Ajanta, but not many of us have understood it fully. The paintings of Ajanta are among the most celebrated achievements of Indian art. Admired for their beauty, technical mastery, and expressive power, they are also remarkable narrative works that bring Buddhist stories vividly to life. Yet many of these painted narratives remain only partially understood. Through recent fieldwork and systematic documentation, new approaches are helping us look more closely at how these stories were conceived, structured, and communicated by the artists who created them. In his talk today, Dr. Rajesh Singh will explore one such approach, offering a close reading of selected Ajanta narratives and demonstrating how careful observation can reveal new dimensions of meaning within these extraordinary paintings. Dr. Rajesh Kumar Singh is the Rishi Khanna Senior Fellow for Cave Temple Studies and Associate Editor of the Indian International Journal of Buddhist Studies. A specialist in Indian Buddhist cave temples and the rock cut architecture of Western India, he is the author of several important books on Ajanta, including the recent Ajanta's Evolution, published by Archaeopress, Oxford. For more than 3 decades, he has researched the history, chronology, and artistic traditions of Ajanta and is widely respected for his contributions to the study of Ajanta and Buddhist cave architecture. A very warm welcome to you, Dr. Rajesh. We are extremely fortunate to have you with us today. The screen is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Gary. Am I able?
Yeah, you're on.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I thank Tamil Heritage Trust for the kind invitation to for this lecture. I'm especially very happy today that the keynote speaker is Professor Gauri Parimu Krishnan, who was my teacher in undergraduate. When I was studying undergraduate, she taught me for 2 years. So it gives me a personal delight that she was chosen to be the keynote speaker. So I shall now begin my presentation. Share the screen.
Yeah. You can see it. You can go to full screen share now.
Yeah. Is it okay?
Yeah. We'll have to probably move forward.
So
We can see it.
a request was made from the organizer that Ajanta of course is famous for paintings, and everybody wants paintings only, and many other things sometimes get sidelined. But yes, of course, I prepared myself for the painting, which is a very, very complex subject. Yeah, it may be very delightful for the visitor to see the paintings, but it's so difficult to explain the paintings. So I will be making a humble attempt today to try to explain some of the complexities. So I begin with the uh, with the slide. Why Ajanta is so difficult to read? Trust me, even after 3 decades, it is not easy for a researcher like me also to uh, always try to understand the paintings. My understanding even now is, hardly 10%, I would say. 90% still remains to be understood. So I make no claim for having understood the Ajanta paintings. But whatever little I have been able to gather, it is my proud privilege to be able to share with my fellow citizens. So I begin with the situation. Uh, what happens? Most visitors can see the paintings but cannot identify the stories. Paintings, the reasons are so many. One obvious reason is that so much of damage has already happened. The paintings have been faded, and many paintings are incomplete because that is a historical part. I will not be covering that. Um, uh, in this lecture. Uh, but when Ajanta was happening, when it was being developed, especially in the 5th century AD, a lot of uh, turmoil, a lot of troubles, a lot of military events happened in the background, and due to which many of the painted cycles remained incomplete. Some paintings got completed, other part of the same narrative remained incomplete, and there is evidence to that. Uh, uh, so that creates also a difficulty in our understanding. Another thing is when you go there, on the same wall, you will find it's not like in art. What when we go to the museum, when we go to the art gallery, then the works have been arranged in such a manner that these are different artworks by different artists in different periods, etc. In Ajanta, it's not like that. The paintings are seamless. One narrative goes into another narrative, one scene goes into another scene. It's a very fluid kind of cyclical depiction in Ajanta, and that creates a difficulty in deciphering, in reading as to what is happening inside the painting. What is the story? What are the figures doing? What are the different events? and uh, and another thing is that even if you get focused on one particular narrative, then in that narrative, suppose there is one story, and if we remember our childhood, that time we had these comic books in which there were different boxes. In the different boxes, the artist would depict the different scenes, and we go from the one to the next, and then to the next, and then to the next. So there is a linear progression of the story. In Ajanta, a similar device was used, but there was no box they made like that, which separates one story from the other, and that complicates the matter for the student, for the researcher sometimes. And and so it was like a cinematic representation of the ancient stories, Buddhist stories, and that is what the painter depicted. Another difficulty arises because of the advanced, when you go into advanced research. What is the story? What is the painting trying to say? Then you have to study Indology, you have to study Buddhist studies, you have to study archaeology. That enables you the research tools and research methodology to go into the depths of it. And once you go into the depths of it, trying to understand what is the subject matter of depiction, then at the end of your research, uh, beginning of her research is one thing, and then prolonged research is another thing. And then in the end of the research, you will be disappointed because of one fact. And that fact is that hardly any manuscript has been found. Ancient Buddhist manuscript from those times have been found from this country, from the present borders of India. That is a very surprising fact, actually. What happened to all the Buddhist manuscripts? We have thousands of lakhs of Hindu manuscripts, the Jain manuscripts. We also have Islamic manuscripts and medieval manuscripts, manuscripts of various kinds. In fact, National Manuscript Mission has been launched in this country. What happened to the Buddhist manuscripts, ancient Buddhist manuscripts? Not one manuscripts we have been able to find today. That is a ek yaksh prashna hai. That is a question that we should investigate. What happened to those manuscripts? And there were thousands of manuscripts. Buddhists had their own religious books, their own religious scriptures, just like any other religion. They had their own scriptures, and these paintings try to depict the Buddhist doctrine. So more on that later on. But because you don't have the literary source, we have not found a single manuscript. Then how do you identify the Ajanta painting? So your only recourse, it will be a compromised situation. And that compromised situation is what? That compromised situation is that there are Buddhist manuscripts available from other countries, from East Asia, from Sri Lanka, from China, from Tibet, from Mongolia, from other countries. So manuscripts have been preserved in other languages. And so you will have to study them and try to understand which are those stories found in which scriptures, in which canon, in which in linguistic code, and how does that relate to Ajanta painting. So the task became so difficult that hardly anybody would like to study Ajanta paintings. If you see the survey PhD, last 5 decades, you go and examine all the Indian PhD done, you will hardly find a handful of PhD in the last 50 years. People don't want to do it simply because of the non-availability of primary sources for study. So it becomes very difficult. And we in India, we do not study Mongolian, we don't study Chinese, we don't study Khotanese, we don't study Tottarian, etc., etc. Although we do study Pali, but you will be surprised to know not a single Pali inscription has been found in Ajanta. Not a single Pali inscription has been found in any of the Buddhist caves. So, on the contrary, the inscriptions that have been found belong to other languages. For instance, Prakrit. So probably there was a Prakrit, scriptures were there in Prakrit language, which has been permanently, which has been lost to us. And probably, and of course, there was a Sanskrit canon. That Sanskrit canon has also been lost to us. That is the scriptures, Buddhist scriptures in Sanskrit languages. It's not just the Sanskrit, only Hindus were speaking and writing and working in Sanskrit. Buddhists were also working as much in Sanskrit. So that also, so there is a lot of complexity actually once you get into that. And so what is the result? The result of lack of research. Scholars outside India, Ajanta owes a lot. Ajanta research owes a lot to the Germans, to French, to Americans, and to Japanese, and as far as the painting is concerned, I'm restricting my statement to painting only. The identification of the painting has been done a lot by foreign scholars. Uh, uh, Indian scholars have somehow fell behind this effort because of the complexity which I explained. Although in other areas, for example, in historical background, in epigraphy, Indian scholars have done remarkable contributions. And so one more another difficulty that arises is because you have to study the visual evidence. The study of Ajanta painting for a student, for anybody who wants to know it in detail, will have to have a visual evidence. Just like the previous speaker, Dr. Meenakshi, she spoke about the rock art, where she produced before us visual evidence of so many varieties of rock art done in various parts of India and around the world. So you need to have a visual documentation. Now, if a student wants to do a visual documentation of Ajanta painting, which is a necessary material for study, that visual documentation is not available in any public space so far. There should be a website. Somebody should create a website where all the visual documentation, whoever is having that collection, I have the collection, I'm willing to give. Anybody who wants to make a website, I will donate my collection free of cost. But somebody should do it. And I also wrote a letter to so many institutions, more than 20 vice chancellors. I wrote letter that I have a very good collection of Ajanta photographic collection. I'm ready to donate it freely to any institution who want to make a database of it. I did not receive any reply so far. So anyway, I'm using this platform to send my communication across that all this collection is lying on my hard disk. It is useless. I'm sure that if this collection, my collection becomes available in the public space to the researchers, then many PhD will automatically happen. People will be able to explore Ajanta because of the visual evidence will be there available to the researchers anywhere in the world. And yeah, so these are the difficulties. Now, I was fortunate in the last 30 years of my research to receive the kind of permission of the Archaeological Survey of India for field work. You know, Ajanta is the heart of the Archaeological Survey of India. And even if you are I'm just if even if anybody who is the boss in the headquarters ASI, you will not easily allow permission to people to go and just enter, and so because the people have Ajanta paintings have already been damaged so much, and so the Archaeological Survey of India and the government is trying to protect the monuments. Nature protected it for 2000 years or 2500 years, but Ajanta was damaged more by the people than nature, and therefore the government wants to protect the monument from the people, and therefore it is very strict in granting permission. I was fortunate to receive some permission. My recent permission, I last month only I went and I systematically photographed Ajanta paintings in a new way. That is, every single narrative cycle I shot, and uh, suppose the painter has depicted one narrative in 30 scenes or episodes. I took 30 shots. So this approach to photography, as far as I know, um, hardly anybody has done before. Maybe the Germans have done before 30, 40 years before. Maybe probably Walter Spink did it once. One or two scholars did before me. And as far as um, my knowledge goes, this theme-based photographic, systematic and comprehensive photographic documentation, I attempted this time. So, there are 90 so far. Okay, before beginning this talk, let me say something about Leipzig school. You know, in Germany, there is a Leipzig school in Leipzig, a University of Leipzig. In University of Leipzig, you have Professor Dieter Schingloff. So he spent 50 to 60 years in the study of Ajanta narrative paintings alone. And his disciple, Professor Dr. Monica Zen, is also there. She studied 20 to 30 years in deciphering the Ajanta non-narrative paintings. So the Ajanta paintings have been broadly classified into two categories. One is the narrative painting, where the subject matter depicts one story, some ancient story. And then, so these narrative paintings are found on the walls. Okay, walls were reserved for the narrative paintings, and then there, for example, on the ceiling, for example, on the pillar, you don't have narrative paintings. You only have non-narrative paintings, decorative paintings, etc. So there are two categories where all the Ajanta paintings can be divided. there is another category called devotional painting. A third category is also there called devotional paintings, which is coined by Professor Monica Zinn, which is very useful. So I will explain later on what that devotional painting is. But right now, as far as the narrative paintings are, so in a lecture of this kind in 40 minutes or 1 hour, it is not possible to cover everything. uh, uh, but through the example of one narrative cycle depicted by the Ajanta paintings, I hope to take you to a journey of understanding the Ajanta murals. So what is applicable for the understanding of one narrative paintings will also be applicable for the understanding of other narrative paintings. So rather than jumping from one narrative to another, let us try to understand one narrative cycle with as much clarity as possible here. So for this purpose, for an example, I have selected one narrative whose main character is called Kalyanakarin, and he had another brother called Papakarin. So this narrative, which you are able to see on the screen, um, was uh, uh, earlier erroneously identified, not identified. It was only in 1976 that Professor Shingloff from Germany was able to identify the subject matter of this painting. And it is depicted on cave 1. This painting belongs in cave 1 in the interior hall. Once you go, then on the left wall, you will find it. Now, there are, see on the screen, you can see some of the facts about this painting. First of all, please notice 41. Now, you will say, what is, if there are some students of archaeology and students of Indology, students of history attending this lecture, then it may be of use to them to know what is this number 41. This number 41 is the number given to each narrative, each story. Who gave this number? This number is given by Professor Shingloff. So like a museum catalog where each artifact is given a number, accession number, like each catalog has a number. So here also, like we also have a Aadhaar number. So similarly, he gave a number to each narrative episode. So in his numbering system, there are 94 narratives he identified in his corpus. And his work is very much scientific. And so we are now, any researcher doing a research after that, it is useful for us to follow his numbering system. So this is the narrative number 41. And this narrative number 41, now another fact to be noted is that the original source, uh, the literature, if you want to know the subject of this, you want to know the story. Where will you find the story? You will find the story in Buddhist manuscripts, in Buddhist texts. Now, which is that Buddhist text? Now, that is such a ghost question I spoke earlier, that from India, we have not found any Buddhist manuscript from those times. Maybe in Ladakh, we have found some Buddhist manuscript in the recent period, but that belongs to a different body of manuscript. And then Pakistan administered Kashmir, we have also found some manuscript 70, 80 years before. And from Nalanda and Takshila also some fragment of manuscripts were found, but they are in such unfortunate state that the name of the manuscript or the collection or the work could not be identified. So without going into those details, let us understand this fact that in the absence of a manuscript, how do you understand this? So, and we in India, in our scholarship, we did not cross our borders. When we study Indian history in Indology, we guide in our study. We have not crossed our borders to see that some of the materials could be found in foreign lands. So we must learn the foreign languages if we are to do Ajanta. So Mongolian and Khotanese and Chinese and Tibetans, it will be indispensable for us if you want to do deep research in Ajanta. Now, the last statement which you can see is that what is the nearest literary version? So there is a manuscript called T202. That is the name of the manuscript. The name of the story is called the Sutra of the Wise and the Foolish. This is the original Sanskrit manuscript which is lost from India, but it was translated by a school of Nagaraju, by school of Kumarajiva in Chinese. So that manuscript has been found. So that manuscript has been found. The date of the manuscript is 545, circa 545 AD. Now that manuscript is found in the Chinese collection. I will show you that manuscript. So that is a recent discovery. Due to that recent discovery, Professor Shingloff was able to identify this painting, that this painting depicts the story of two brothers, Kalyanakarin and Papakarin. What is the cycle of how does the narrative proceed? So I will now show to you here. This is the scene number 1. You can see here 1. Scene number 1. Then from here the story goes here, scene number 2. Then the story comes here, scene number 3A. I will explain in the later slide what are those scenes. What are the contents of those scenes. So this is the scene number 3A. That is scene number 3B. Then this is the scene number 4, scene number 5, scene number 6, scene number 7, then 8, then 9 is here, 10, 11, 12, and 13. So this is really a perplexity. It is an intrigue. It is a question before researchers. Why Ajanta painters did not make these scenes in a linear fashion? The answer we still do not know. Simply, a good researcher is simply, you should say we know this, or you should say we do not know this. And when you say we do not know this, that means you are throwing the question to other researchers that please come and investigate this matter. And that is how the knowledge can grow. And we should not assume that we know everything. So thanks to Professor Shingloff also that we are able to identify this. Now let us study this now. So in my photography attempt, what I did was that I took a wide angle shot. This shot is taken from one wide angle camera, and so everything is seen in one shot. After that, I made 13 close-up shots for these 13 scenes from a 85 mm zoom, not zoom lens, a prime lens. So that is why my photographs are able to show some of the details which have probably never been published before in this fashion. So scene 1. Prince Kalyanakarin and Papakarin are seen here on a ship, and they are going to a jewel island. The thing is this, the story is quite long. So it's a 36 page it's a 36 page story, and it's a 36-page story, and if I tell the story, it will take quite long. So hopefully, through the pictures, I will tell you the story. So that not much time will be spent on the details of the story. So what had happened, there's this Prince Papakarin, who was none other than the Buddha himself in the previous birth. So he was extremely charitable. So this story depicts Dana Paramita. Dan Paramita means one of the virtues. Every Buddhist has, charity in all forms, in all religion, in all times is considered to be one of the greatest virtue of humanity, of mankind. So he was so charitable that entire treasury of the kingdom got exhausted. So what to do now when there is no money in the treasury? Then somebody advised that if you take a very dangerous and perilous voyage, then you can find an island, a jewel island, a Ratna Dvipa, jewel island, and there you can find a Chintamani. Chintamani is a wish fulfilling jewel. You ask anything and it will give you. That Chintamani is a mythical kind of jewel in Buddhist cosmology, in also Hindu cosmology, and also in Jain cosmology. This Chintamani is depicted. In India, Chintamani is not much depicted, but in China, when I went to China, I saw Chintamani, huge Chintamani, frequent Chintamani depictions are there. Um, so they go in the search of that Chintamani jewel in this sea voyage, and they were warned that anybody who has gone there has not returned so far. So it will be very risky. So Bodhisattva in his previous birth as Kalyanakarin takes this risk, and with him he also takes his brother. You see, that is uh, Kalyanakarin, and is sorry, this is Kalyanakarin, or and maybe this is Papakarin. I don't know who is Papakarin. I mean, he has a crown, and he's the prince. I don't know why. According to the story, there is also a navigator, and that navigator is the only one who knows the navigation to that island, and he's the only one who can go there. So all the details of every single figure still not identified. Now this is the scene number 2. Look at these two figures. The upper portion is as you can see, has been damaged, and so here they are carrying they go to the jewel island. They find lots and lots of jewels, and so they are carrying this jewel now, onto the ship. And next, what happens? Uh, um, the navigator had warned them that, look, take only in a limited amount, so that the ship does not sink. Only take it in a limited amount. But those people became very greedy. The people, other people who were there in the ship, other merchants of the entire kingdom, lot of wealthy merchants were there, and so the ship ultimately sank. And look at this. Um, I will need to show you more close-up photos, that there are sea monsters, sea creatures, dangerous sea monsters. They are devouring these merchants who are now sinking and battling with the marine life. Now here, unfortunately, the upper part is so badly broken that nothing can be seen. What you can see is here is a fish, is a monster fish, and maybe crocodile, maybe shark, what we know today as shark or something like that. That they can eat you. And but here, one hand is here, one face is here, one body is here. So and another person's torso is seen here, and so that is Kalyanakarin, and this is Papakarin. Kalyanakarin is pulling Papakarin out of this water. I mean, he's rescuing him. In other words, he's rescuing him. Now, all the merchants are dead. Only two persons are now surviving. That is Kalyanakarin and Papakarin. So now they are sitting ashore on the seashore, and they are dividing the gems. You know, whatever that was left with them, they are dividing. Now, what happens? Because it is the Kalyanakarin who ultimately found it's not so much about the jewels. It's really about Chintamani. That is the wish fulfilling jewel. You ask anything and it will give you. So it was Kalyanakarin who had found it. And therefore Papakarin had an evil thought. He said, no, this is not done. So Kalyanakarin lived up to his name, and Papakarin also lived up to his name. So what Papakarin tells Kalyanakarin that, look, you are so exhausted. You're so exhausted. Please take a nap. Why don't you sleep while I'm guarding the place? And unfortunately, the other part uh, is so broken, nothing is preserved. But according to the story, it is only logical that two other scenes were depicted here according to the manuscript, the story, and this is our not speculation, but you can say informed guess what must have been depicted over here. And that when uh, Kalyanakarin is sleeping, that time Papakarin has a plan. He goes to a nearby bush, and he finds a tree with a very big thorns, just like cactus having very big thorns. And he brings two thorns, and he pierces those thorns into the eyes of Kalyanakarin. He blinds him. This is all very graphically described in the literature. And next scene has to be below that, and so now Kalyanakarin is blind, and you know, in the ancient times, um, a physically challenged or disabled person cannot become the king. Everybody knows this. This was sort of almost like a rule over in the ancient times. So and he took Chintamani, and Papa Karan took Chintamani, and he goes to the kingdom, and he says that my brother, he just drowned in the sea, and he just died, and he just usurped the kingdom for himself. And meanwhile, this Kalyanakarin, uh, he becomes blind. He becomes blind, and he goes to a nearby kingdom, and in the streets, and he starts playing flute, a musician, and is begging for money for survival. So this is how he becomes a beggar, a musician beggar, in the neighboring kingdom. And it is that point of time, when a friend, somebody meets him and says that, look, I'm a guard of a royal orchard, and in that orchard I need a help. So why don't you come and just help me guarding the orchard? You know, I'm telling you also the story, so that you know the story also. Unfortunately, that area that is not depicted. It is damaged here. So he goes, and he's helping guarding the orchard. And that time, the princess of that kingdom, she comes in that orchard, and she is able to find this beautiful music, the nice music played by a blind beggar. And she develops an interest in him. And the music is so beautiful, and that blind beggar, even though he was so blind, but he was so attractive that she's not able to stop herself, and she goes to her father and tells that, look, I would like to marry a man, and he's right there in our orchard, and so so in this particular scene, you can say that this is the king, and here is the princess. I mean, they have really broken. This vandalism. It is my belief. It is my assessment that this vandalism was caused by foreigners in the 19th century and early 20th century. They looted the paintings from China and took it to their Berlin Museum and London and America and everywhere. They just robbed the property of foreign land. And the vandalism in Ajanta, in my recent book, I have written that vandalism in Ajanta is very focused. The vandal had an idea of the subject matter, had a knowledge of the subject matter, and the best part they wanted to pick up. They were scholars who wanted to steal this painting and take it to their foreign museums. And one piece of Ajanta can be found in a London museum. Anyway, so I feel really sorry that this otherwise very wonderfully preserved painting has been vandalized like this. But anyway, so the king, of course, becomes very sad that you did not find anybody else other than this beggar to marry. But ultimately, he loved his daughter so much that he gives in to the demand. And then what happens? Then the story moves forward. In this story, what happens? Now the king and the prince Kalyanakarin, the blind beggar, and this princess, both are living together for some time. One day, Kalyanakarin says to the princess that every day you are going somewhere and returning in the evening. Can you please tell me where are you going? It seems that you have developed interest for somebody else. And it seems that you love me no more because I'm blind. I'm a blind beggar. So that time the princess she says a truth spell, Satya Vachan, that if I have loved you and only you, then by the power and no one else, then the power of this truth, your one eye should be restored. And his one eye was restored. So this magical effect, this princess here, this is a relatively better preserved scene. She is telling her father of what happened. That look, Kalyanakarin, one eye has got restored. And so regained his sight. That is and then she also, the princess again, she also goes to her mother and is telling the same story that look, this is what has happened. Now the story is here. Kalyana actually here also very badly damaged. Only the upper part of the faces. Look at this crowned man. Look at this crowned man over here, and this look at this pavilion. And one crowned man is still seen here. Here, Kalyanakarin is seated. They become very happy, and and I mean, meanwhile, Kalyanakarin reveals that I mean, yeah. So meanwhile, Kalyanakarin reveals that look what had happened to me. I'm actually the prince of a neighboring kingdom. Then nobody is able to believe it. Then he's telling the story that look, my brother did it like this to me. So everybody is saying that, oh, your brother is so bad. So let us go and take a revenge. Take a revenge. They're trying to propose like that. But Kalyanakarin says that he is my brother. He is my brother, although he has done this to me, I still love him, I still respect him, and I have no hatred for him. Not even in the literature it is mentioned, not even as much as the breadth of a hair. Even that much of hatred or ill will I do not have for my brother. And if this is true, then my other eyesight should be restored. So Satyavision, truth spell he does, and immediately his other eyesight, other eyes also restored. So this is really, this was really a climactic event in the story, in the narrative. And after that, when the king finds, oh my God, he's that great princess, he's the famous man, he's the famous prince of the neighboring kingdom, he becomes so happy. And so he comes, this is the king who comes to Kalyanakaran to meet him in this pavilion. After that, Kalyanakaran goes out of the palace uh, in a great procession, with a great pomp and procession. Look, he's riding the horse, and somebody is blowing the conch here. He's going back to his kingdom. And this princess also follows her husband. Now, so that is the end of the story, 13 scenes. And now let us come to the, uh, that was the painted depiction of the story. Now that story has also been found in literature, in ancient literature. So which are those ancient literature that I would like to present before you? As far as we know, the scholars know, I would like to bring that knowledge to you. That is that we call literary sources, or we call primary sources. So uh, as I said earlier, the original Indian source in Sanskrit is not yet recovered. And if you want but many primary sources and secondary sources, they have been listed by Shingloff in this work, in his handbook in 2013, published by Indira Gandhi National Center for the Arts. You can go on page number 193, and he has given a complete list of all the available literature, modern literature as well as ancient literature relating to this story on this. So you can, if you want to further know the story. Now, as far as the primary literature is concerned, so one of the ancient texts is called Kalpadrumavadana. Kalpadrumavadana. You know, second is called Bodhisattvavadana Kalpalata by Kshemendra, and that is actually 11th century. But there you will find this story, and some scenes are mentioned in that story, although not all the scenes depicted in Ajanta paintings. The third source is called the Sutra of the Wise and the Fool. And so the Sutra of the Wise and the Fool, it was found in China, and it is the nearest version. So there are many versions, as I have listed here. There another, some of you who do not know what this T202 is, then let me tell you, there was very great uh, Japanese scholar who collected all the Buddhist scriptures known so far from China, from Korea, and from Japan, and he edited them. And he edited them in about 124 volumes. That is why he is regarded one of the greatest scholar in the last 100 years or so. The greatest scholars. and his work is tremendously helpful to all the researchers of Buddhist studies in all these countries. And he has done his work so remarkably that we are not able to find faults in his work. So, and all those thousands of manuscripts that he edited and compiled together in those 134 volumes, he has given a number to each manuscript. So this manuscript is called T202. That is, T stands for Taisho. In Japanese, his work is called Taisho. And so the T stands for Taisho, and 202 is the number of that manuscript. So if you see this through the, and if you want to see the original, let me show it to you here. So this is the, and thanks to the Japanese, they have also entire 103, 130, 134 volume. They created a website. That website is called Sanganiki Kritam Taisho Tripitakam. The SAT Daizokyo text database. In this database, when you go, if somebody wants to research Ajanta, I'm just trying to help some potential student who want to do further research, how to do further research. So that is the text number 202. So here in this database, you have to type 0202. And the volume, he had 134 volumes. So the volume number was 4. And then you click here. So here, what they have done, they have, this is the original Chinese manuscript, line by line. You have it here. And if you want to see the original manuscript, then this is the original manuscript. This is the original manuscript. This manuscript, this particular page has the story of the Kalyanakarin and Papakarin. So even I was not, because I cannot read Chinese. I'm sitting in India. I cannot read Chinese. So how will I know whether Professor Shinglop study? He's pointing that this Chinese that manuscript is telling about a painting that is painted in Ajanta. So thanks to AI, I took the help of AI, and this is I like to share with you another document.
Sir, we are only seeing your shared screen. I think we are not able to see what you're clicking as the original. You have to stop sharing this and share that, I think, for us to be
No,
able to see.
the way to do that is that you share your entire desktop when sharing and not the PowerPoint presentation alone.
Okay. Let me try that.
You can stop sharing and then start sharing with your desktop, not the PowerPoint application.
Understood. Let me try that. Entire screen.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Now go to the PowerPoint presentation.
Whatever.
No, you go to the PowerPoint presentation first, and from there, whatever link you click, that link will show.
Okay. Can you see this now? This Microsoft Word file?
Yeah, we can see.
So here, this Microsoft Word file, this is that manuscript. Okay. So thanks to the Japanese, they have put it all online. I downloaded it. I'm showing it to you. There's a lot of archives that they have done. Now India is doing National Manuscript Mission. Let me tell you, other countries have already done it. China has already done it. Japan has already done it. Koreans have already done it. All their manuscript is fully available for anybody. You simply want to know which manuscript, what you are searching, you can download and use it. It is all freely available. And of course, now with AI, you can do it translation. And yesterday only, I did this AI translation. I asked ChatGPT, translate this manuscript for me. and they did a translation. Okay, it is not critical translation, but somebody can at least understand the original story. What is the original story? It is very long, 36-page long. So, and very beautifully, because it was written in Kavya, just like Kalidasa Kavya. It was poetry and it was theater. People used to renounce it. Same story they used to play in theater, in painting, in literature, in music, in dance. That was the, in ancient time. This is how a story found its place in multiple media. So that was a brief glimpse of this is called going to the primary sources. So if somebody wants to do Ajanta research, you will have to go to these primary sources and not just read secondary sources. Some author says this, some author says that. That is not going to work.
So now you can click your PowerPoint, sir, again. No, just click PowerPoint, sir.
Okay.
And it'll just at the bottom you have PowerPoint, no? Just click that.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
And then just go to full screen again here.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I showed you a glimpse of that manuscript. Okay. And so that is one version is there. Another manuscript, another version is there in called T156. That manuscript also has uh, 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 some scenes described. And then in Khotanese language, also there was Jatakastava, a manuscript called Jatakastava. In that manuscript also this story has been described. Now let me tell you, I have myself not recovered or get access to all these manuscript which is listed here, because I sitting in India and just relying on internet resources is not enough. One has to be physically mobile in order to understand it more comprehensively. Now, parallels in art. Talking about this story, I showed you the painted cycle as the painter of the story, how the painter depicted the story. Then I also showed you how that story was written in manuscript, in literature, in kavya format. Now I'm showing you in archaeology, apart from Ajanta, where else parallels are found, where else this art has been depicted. You will be surprised to know that so far, according to Shingloff's comprehensive study, only two places this story has been found. One is both are in China. Kizil cave number 198 and Dunhuang cave number 148 and 296. That is very interesting. So when I went to Kizil and when I went to Dunhuang last year, I had the fortunate invitation 5 times from China, because Chinese are now inviting me that please come, and we are able to find some connections with India. The precise connections we are not able to find. So we need to work together to untangle all these knots. So even so, I also had the proud privilege. So went there and so Indian Buddhist experts and Chinese Buddhist experts actually need to sit together and work together, because in Indian caves and Chinese caves were connected. And the proof is here. The proof is here. This episode is not found so far anywhere else, but in Kizil cave number 198 and Dunhuang cave number 148. And according to my preliminary observations, the earliest Dunhuang caves, the earliest Kizil caves were architectural and art linked with Ajanta. And therefore, a new chapter in my exploration is now beginning to understand how Ajanta was precisely linked with those caves. Now, I will come to the second last slide. That is to summarize a sort of conclusion of our log. So what have we learned so far? We have learned so far that the nearest available version that we have is this Chinese version called Sutra of the Wise and the Foolish. But there are details in that version which has not been depicted by Ajanta painters. And there are depictions done by Ajanta painters, that is the cycle, which is not found in any of the versions. That means Ajanta painters was using some version which is lost. And other versions have come down to us. 3 or 4 different versions have come down to us. So that is one understanding that we have developed. And so therefore, we should not claim that such and such text is the original version of Ajanta. Not a single original version of Ajanta painting has come down to us so far. That is the sad and tragic conclusion that a researcher has to make after 30 years of research. Now,
So you don't have a copy of that Kirill painting?
it is published by Shinglov in drawing format. A photograph I do not have, because one more thing, let me tell you, somebody was complaining that the government is not allowing photography and all the photos restrictions. You see, when I went to Dunhuang, I was the official guest of Dunhuang Academy, but and the director himself was taking me around. When I asked to use my camera, can I photo? He said, no, please respect our rules. Photography is not allowed. And he said, if you want anything, please tell us. We will send it to you. We will give it to you. We have all the photographs.
Oh.
So, yeah, the Chinese are also very much strict. So, and so that is why I don't have photos. But I have friends. If I want, I can get it. But I'm not going into that detail. I'm not going to be Dunhuang experts in my life. So, I'm limiting myself to Ajanta only. Now, this is the last slide. What I have demonstrated now is one narrative. There are 94 Ajanta narratives. Imagine if somebody wants to develop a knowledge about Ajanta murals, you need 94 such lectures. My thanks are to Archaeological Survey of India for giving me kind permission for field work and photographic documentation. My research has been kindly supported by Sri Rishi Khanna ji of New Delhi. He's a philanthropist, and last 3-4 years he has been supporting my research work. And I'm thankful to Tamil Heritage Trust, to Gauri Madam and Professor, the founder of the Tamil Heritage Trust, for giving me the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You not only showed us, you made us realize that it's not enough to just superficially or scratch the surface of Ajanta paintings. We actually need to know far more about the original text and understand what they represent, because it's also layered and so much in depth. For us to get a full comprehensive understanding, we need to study it all. And as you correctly said, any enthusiastic student or even a person who just feels motivated, I think this talk is enough to get him started. Thank you. Now I invite Gopu to take over the question answer session.
Good evening, sir. Thank you for such a wonderful lecture. I will start with a very straightforward question. We prepared and studied and visited Ajanta as part of our site seminar in 2011. And this, I think, this painting has been identified as Mahajanaka Jataka by several other scholars. This is what Professor Swaminathan, our founder, also told us. But I see in Shilingav's book that it is identified as Kalyankarin Jataka. Do you have any comments on the difference in identification?
As I said, before 1967, this was regarded as Mahajanak Jataka. And if you see any earlier books, you will find it Mahajanak Jataka, because there is a Mahajanak Jataka on the left side, and this one is on the right side of the same panel. And probably the painters were the same, so the style is also the same. So it was understood as Mahajanak Jataka. Not only this, many other Ajanta panels were also identified differently. As you know, knowledge is always growing, and therefore one needs to keep abreast with current research, latest advances. So thanks to Professor Shingloff that he has corrected this, and it was only in 2013 when his work was first published in 1987, but in German, and it was English was only published in 2013. So we are able to now know about his research, and that is why we are late in knowing about the correct identification.
Okay. Thank you. Well, I have a you made at the very start you made some very interesting comments about there being no Pali inscription or Pali literature surviving in India. Did I hear you right? There
No,
is
no Pali
and
inscription in Ajanta, he said.
no,
Nowhere.
India.
N- n- the first, okay, here, this is a bombshell. I know many people are going to beat me to death. But I'm not the first one to make this statement. If you see the work of another great Buddhologist, Professor Peter Skilling from Thailand, is one of the most respected Buddhist scholar. And so anyway, the fact is that we have more than 2000 Buddhist caves. We have more than 2000 Buddhist inscription, not one in Pali.
So I wanted some clarification on that because we see all these Ashokan inscriptions. We are told that they are Prakrit, but we thought that Pali and Ardhamagadi, which the Jains used early on, were also just variations of Prakrit. That is, there's dialogues of Prakrits, like variations of Hindi today. There are they say there are several dialects of Hindi, and you use a common one like Gadiboli, which is understood in the market, but you have Awadhi, Maithili, and all these other different dialects. So is our understanding of language itself wrong, or as a general uh, curious student of history, not a professional scholar, I'm asking this.
So let me tell you first. First of all, I'm not an epigraphist, and but I'll tell you the general understanding. Just like today, we have so many different languages in India, and each language has so many different dialects. Similarly, in ancient times, there were multiple languages and there were multiple dialects. The evidence is also found in one of the Buddhist texts, where talking about the Buddha, how many languages Buddha knew. That particular Buddhist text gives when he was when he was schooling, when he was being taught in the school, then he learned many languages very fast, and there's a very long list of many languages that the Buddha learned. So that is a primary literary evidence of so many other languages. And by the way, Sanskrit in that long list, Sanskrit and Prakrit and Ardhamagadi, these three are also mentioned, and there are 20 other languages also mentioned. So of course, there were so many other languages that died in this country, and
Is
yeah.
Are you referring to Lalitha Vistara or some other book?
I will give you the reference later on. I do not remember right now.
Okay. But is Pali found somewhere else? If it is not found in India, I thought it was a very regional language in the Bihar area where Buddha spent
No.
most of his life.
See, there's a very big confusion actually going on. Actually, I practice fundamental research. Um, This is this is a very different kind of research. So I practice fundamental research, basic research is asking the same question again and taking and my approach is deductive, not inductive. So a lot of things have been we have a lot of cherished belief, and even in academia, even in published literature, a lot of things have been written, and but something is conflicting with the evidence. Then as a good researcher we must ask why this opinion, why this cherished opinion is conflicting with the evidence. So for example, this Pali, everybody knows Dr. Ambedkar brought Pali to India, after 1956. It was called Navayana or whatever you call. So new Buddhism revival. After that, now we have more than 100 Pali departments in India, and so many people learn Pali and speak Pali. I have so many friends, Buddhist friends in Maharashtra who speak Pali. But before 1956, show me Pali in this country. There was none. So, and thanks to our neighbors in East Asia and Sri Lanka, they preserve this language for us, not only the language for us, but the Pali canon, okay, the so-called Theravada canon also. But let me tell you, so the antiquity of Pali, now the antiquity of Pali is a very, very, I mean, it deserves more research. Right now, what I'm trying to tell you is that uh, none of the Buddhist caves have any inscription in Pali language.
Okay.
And therefore, the question arises, was there Pali? Did these cave builders, did they speak or use Pali at all or not?
Okay.
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 On the other hand, there is a Prakrit inscriptions, thousands of inscriptions are in the Prakrit. So the evidence is trying to tell us that there was perhaps a Prakrit canon which is lost to us. Then there is so many hundreds of Sanskrit inscriptions, which is
So that's
also
the
trying to tell us that there was a Sanskrit canon that is lost to us.
So we all studied in school at least. I'm sure the historians study more in college. But the general understanding is that Buddhas forbade the use of Sanskrit as it was not a commoners language. When did the Buddhists start using? Is this right or wrong? When did
Buddha
the Buddhists start?
himself had mastered Sanskrit.
No, but in
Ashwagosha wrote in Sanskrit.
okay,
Nagarjuna wrote in Sanskrit. Aryasura wrote in Sanskrit.
so was there a period where Sanskrit was forbidden by the Buddhists and then they were allowed it
Not at
again?
all. Never.
Okay,
It
so
is
that's
just,
just
see, let me tell you, the business of history is so risky. It's so
okay.
risky. Our understanding about antiquity is so much conditioned by the ideology and the politics of today.
Right. Okay. All right. So okay. So let me go on to one more question. You mentioned this thing about narrative sequence, that it is not in order. The panels are depicted in random order and so on. But from what we have studied, not only all of Ajanta, not only all of the large panels in Ajanta, like Simhalavadana or Vidura Pandita, they are also like this. There is no narrative sequence in a time order or any scene order. And but this is not just there. It even if you see the sculptures in Amaravati or Sanchi and some of the larger story panels, there also there is no such order. The artist seems to have assumed, and this is I'm quoting from Swaminathan, who's quoting from other scholars that he has read, that the artist seems to assume that the viewer knows the story already, and
Yes.
so he's just depicting scenes, in the artistic with the artistic freedom that he feels. So
Yes.
the viewer will have now no difficulty in following the different scenes of the story and so on. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Absolutely logical, because you and I have difficulty because we don't know the story. Those people who were visiting Ajanta in the ancient times, they knew the story. They had no difficulty.
And so this is not just Ajanta, because we see this in
Yeah.
Amaravati and this
Yeah.
sites
Yeah.
also.
So
Yeah.
the whole style of narrative painting at that time was to depict the scenes as and where they could fit the scenes
Yeah.
proportionally or whatever, rather than sequentially for the purpose of narrating.
Yeah.
Across all Buddhists, as he said, Amravati and elsewhere also. So.
Yeah. So
Okay. So
they had a lot of freedom to manage the space from the artistic point of view.
a very popular question when we all visit Ajanta is, who were the artists? Were they professional artists or were the monks themselves the painters? And the reason I ask is this question comes up a lot whenever we visit Ajanta. The other related thing is the earlier talk. There was a scene shown by the expert on rock art, Dr. Meenakshi Dubey, that there was a Buddhist picture and a stupa and a picture of Buddha depicted in rock art. And she said monks lived in some of these areas, so they depicted Buddha and the stupa in rock art. So, who were the artists in Ajanta? Because I don't think the inscriptions give any clue there. Do we know who they are? You have any conjectures?
Yeah, so this is a frequently asked question, and my answer is that sorry, I don't know. Okay, but yes, the speculations or conjectures or informed guess can be made on the basis of certain clues. Say, for example, if you go to Ladakh today and you go to any modern monastery in Ladakh, you will see that these so-called mandala paintings or thanka paintings being painted by whom? Being painted by the monks themselves. So those monks themselves are artists. All right. So that is very much that is gives us a clue that a monk is an artist even today in those lands where the tradition is unbroken and continuing. That gives us a clue. Number one. Go to then say for example some Jain. I live in Gujarat, so there are a lot of Jain temples, and sometimes I go to those Jain temples, and some Jain temples are now very beautifully decorated with so many themes. And the person who is doing a painting, the Jain paintings, is also among the Jain fraternity, is not from outside, because the person has to know so many details how the painting is to be done, and the outside hired painter will not be able to do it so faithfully. That is not the case in other temple traditions. So I have given you two examples where the people from the same community are doing it. I'll give you a third evidence, that is a literary evidence from um, Chulavagga. In Chulavagga, there is a discourse between the Buddha and Ananda and other monks, where they ask the question that in Chulabaka there is a discourse. Initially, the Buddha was not allowing for any kind of architecture, any kind of art at all. Just live in the jungle under the tree, under the caverns, etc. So in that discourse, ultimately, Buddha grants them that okay, during the 4 month rainy season, you can live in viharas, etc. Then the discourse further goes that please tell me about architecture, because you have objection to everything that we want to do. Then the Buddha says that okay, you can make mrinamai, trinamai, and darumai. That is in wood and in clay and shailagriha, and also you can make architecture, etc. And then Ananda further asks him that who will undertake the construction of such a vihara. Then he says, "O monk, I ask you, the monks themselves, the bhikkhus themselves, to undertake the construction work." So this is a literary evidence in Chulavagga. But now we have done this mistake enough in the last 200 years, the scholars, that one evidence somewhere you apply somewhere else. That is a big mistake scholars have done. India is a very big country. Uh, Traditions are very much heterogeneous. Shastra and Prayoga, that is the theory and the practice, they do not always go together. The text says something else, but the archaeological evidence tells something else. They do not always correlate. So before bringing one evidence, literary evidence, and applying it to archaeology, we are being more careful, look at the archaeological evidence. And so My answer is that, sorry, I simply don't know. We
Sir,
don't know.
along these lines, if you think the monks painted them, I'm sorry to ask you this very practical question from modern times. Many of these paintings are so sensuous. The monks and their mindset and their deep thinking into religion, were they really exposed to be able to paint women and all like this? Like, you needed to have a very good understanding of the psychology, anatomy, and everything of women, the way women are painted there in terms of their expressions and free. I mean, they're really free. They're really beautiful. So that makes us naturally wonder whether the monks could have painted them.
Actually, the scene, if you go just like we described the scene of Kalyanakaran today, uh, there are other scenes in which the descriptions are there where for example there are many stories where the scene demands such a kind of portrayal.
So you mean the text already has
Yeah,
the
the text.
detail?
Yeah, the story demands such a big portrayal. There are many jatakas where sexuality is the theme, and kama vasana and greed and lust is such a bad thing. I mean, according to Buddhism, according to Ajanta painters, according to the doctrine at the time of Ajanta, I mean, the lust is so bad, and you can't go into that. So the story demands that. That's number one. Number two, in the ancient times, the taboos were not of the kind that we have today. You see, in Ajanta painting, men and women, a lot of them are not wearing the costume, the garments as we do today. So, and even in the Adivasi and tribal societies until the 19th century, people were not wearing clothes as we do today. So, the kind of this body exposition, which is shocking to us today, was perhaps not shocking to.
No, not shocking, sir.
Yeah.
What I meant is, did the monks have such knowledge of women to be
Why
able to draw
not?
them like
Why
that?
not? They are going around in the world, and when men and women are not wearing garments, then were they blind? They were not able to see the forms. Not at all like that.
We
But all this, our question answer assumes that the monks painted it. But what I'm trying to say is that I'm not saying that monks painted it. It could be one of the answers. Another answer, and which is also one of the main prevailing answers by art historians, is that artists uh, had separate communities. They were called by in Hindu monuments. They made Hindu monuments. They were called by Jain monuments. They did Jain monuments. They were called by Buddhist monuments. They Buddhist monuments. This also has great evidence because you see the Vakataka Hindu temples. Lot of Vakataka Hindu temples where painting is not preserved, but sculptures are preserved. Those sculptures have affinity with Ajanta, and therefore there is an art historical and archaeological view that artists were working in Ajanta and those Vakataka Hindu monuments and other places, and therefore a lot of people believe that
sir,
artists were just like employees.
excuse me, sir, where are these Vakataka Hindu monuments that you mentioned, the temples?
In they're all over places in near Nagpur we have many sites.
In
Okay.
worship or just preserved
Yeah.
as
Yeah, in Washim we have, in Nagpur we have, in Vidarbha there are many sites. As of
I'm
course,
asking, are they actively in cities or are they remote like Ajanta? They're in active worship. Do people
yeah,
go to these temples?
yeah, in the vicinity of Nagpur and Washim, and in the Vidarbha region there are dozens of sites. And also in Dakshin Koshal, that is the Chhattisgarh region, that was also once under the Vakataka control. There also Rajim temple is there, Ram Lakshman temple is there, that was patronized by Vakataka kings. So Vakataka kings, they patronized many temples, and many temples have been preserved. One of the Nagardhan is also one of the place. Ramtek is one of the sites where you have inscriptions, you have coins where the Vakataka king patronized Hindu temples, and sculptures have been found. There are many sculptures in the museums also. Hans Becker is one of the artists, one of the greatest scholars who has studied the Vakataka Hindu heritage. 50 years he studied. So a lot of scholarship has been done to indicate to indicate a possibility that artists worked in various monuments.
They probably had guilds.
Yeah,
There is, yeah, okay.
yeah.
Were there, so like there are references that like the Buddha, in the literature, are there references to painting also, or because we only hear uh, things like quotations from Chitra Sutra or Vishnu Dharmottara Purana about painting techniques. Is there any Buddhist literature that mentions any of the painting techniques? Like you said, Buddha mentioned about architecture, etc.
Mm. Yeah, actually, your questions are so informed, very much informed questions. Very, very, very much informed question, very difficult questions also.
Oh, sorry. No, no, we are very curious. We are, so ignorant about so much of it.
Yeah.
Learned
No,
so
no.
much in the last years.
The,
So
yeah, so
we
the
we
answer to
give
that,
the compliment to Professor Swaminathan because he showed us the face of Ajanta really. So
yeah,
yeah,
I wish to meet him one day, and
please.
I I hope that I will receive an invitation from Tamil Nadu and come there.
Yes,
We'll
sure.
be delighted
Yes.
to show you. When we visited Ajanta with Swaminathan, we met Spink there, Walter Spink there. And we
Oh,
spent an hour and a half with him. He gave us a talk. Actually, he was very delighted to meet us that we knew him and all that. And he gave us a 1 hour lecture about his own theories. Not that everybody agrees with him, but he's a very reputed scholar. So,
yeah.
yeah. So, yes. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, what was the question?
Is there
Uh,
any mention of paintings in Buddhist text?
Oh, to my study, I found only one work where in the again, you see, the Buddhism lived here until the 13th century AD. So a lot of manuscripts are there. Later manuscripts are there until the Pala and Sena period also. Uh, and then in Tibetan, in the Tibetan, you have so many texts. So the thing is, one textual evidence you cannot apply in other context without a strong relevance. And therefore, when we are talking about 5th century AD, first of all, uh, okay, one short answer is we have not found any such literary evidence, number one. Number two, I personally have a very strong objection to anybody applying Vishnu Dharmottara Puran to understand Ajanta. We have done it enough. Number one, Ajanta painters were not using Hindu texts. Ajanta painters were not using, probably not using, there is not such evidence that Ajanta painters, or okay, let's leave Ajanta.
no,
That
no, no, it's
Christians,
not.
the Christians for making cathedral were using an Islamic text, or Islamic people for making their mosque were using some Christian text of architecture, or Hindus would be making some other. You see, these are religious
No,
enterprises.
no. No, we are asking what my question was not that. My question was
Ah,
so parallel to see Ajanta is what we have that is well preserved.
yeah.
We had parallelly Bhag caves. Those paintings are completely a very small amount of it is left. Some preserved monuments are there. The Ajanta style painting must have been there all over India, but almost all of it is gone. We see some remnants here in South India. The Chola temples, Tanjavur Chola temples have some paintings that have very similar depictions to Ajanta. Kanchi Kailasanatha temple has some murals. Sitannavasal cave has some Jain depiction that are somewhat
Adami.
similar. And with that, we see Panamalai. And that outside of Ajanta and some of these temples in Tamil Nadu and Bagh, of course, we don't see that style of painting anywhere. So the only reference we have to those paintings are in Chitra Sutra and Vishnu Dharmottara Purana. And that's why we are asking. If there are an older treatise, it's nothing to do with Hinduism. Vishnu Dharmottara Purana, I am referring, and Chitra Sutra, I am referring because they have references to painting techniques. Not that Ajanta, because Vishnu Dharmottara Purana is dated by scholars after Ajanta. They could not have used it. It must have been a summation or a summary or whatever. My question was just like these two texts are there in Sanskrit that describe painting, are there any Buddhist texts that we don't know about, like in Pali or Prakrit, that mention painting? That is all my question is. I'm not linking Vishnu Dharmottara Purana to painting.
No.
Okay.
We have
Okay.
yet to find, as I said, no manuscript has been found, no Buddhist manuscript has been found in this country. Probably there were manuscripts. We don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So one audience question, so there is somebody in the audience who asked this question. Let me go back. I almost forgot this. The name of the author, the scholar who collected those, the and documented those 134 volumes. You said there was a scholar. They want the name of that scholar. Who was the person? Is it a Chinese scholar?
No, Japanese.
Japanese scholar, Takakusu.
Okay.
Yeah, I can supply the letter. He's very famous. You can go to that website Taisho, call Taisho. Just type in the internet Taisho, and you will find all about him.
You provoked our
They, they,
curiosity
they were
about.
they were there were some very great Japanese scholars and who have done a lot of service to us. Actually, so his name is uh, uh, wait, um,
We can get it off you later and then publish it in our
yeah,
website.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's wonderful to know that such efforts have been made and such.
Yeah.
We also, like Gauri said earlier, we are very curious to know now about all these Chinese caves with Chinese paintings, Buddhist paintings and so on. I've seen some of the sculptures in the Freer Gallery, I think in Washington D.C. It's a lot of Buddhist, but no paintings though. So we are also curious about that. Uh, you have seen them. What other depictions that you see in Ajanta do you see there? Have you seen them in the places Kaizil or whatever the other places you mentioned?
So this is the question that entire China is asking. So let me tell you one thing. In India, we are not doing cave research. As far as the art historical or archaeological research is concerned, we are not doing. Um, so, just a handful of people you can find who are doing this research in India. I'm telling last 50 years, actually, I'm saying. If you see the published record, if you see if published record is anything, then you will see that we Indians, last 50, 70 years, we have not been doing much. Uh, in China, they have 5,000 researchers employed just for Buddhist cave research. So they have a Dunhuang Academy. The Dunhuang Academy has 1,800 employees. Then you have Longmen Academies. Then you have Dazu Academy. Each academy have 500, 1,000, 2,000 employees. So altogether, they have 11 academies for Buddhist caves alone. And I counted the numbers. Nearly 5,000 researchers are on the payroll. So and so a lot of conference, a lot of publication, a lot of journal. There are more than 20 journals being published in China only on Buddhist caves and Buddhist archaeology, etc. So there's a tremendous work is going on. So one question that everybody is asking me is this connection between Indian caves and the Chinese caves, because things went from here to China. And I find sometimes very difficult to answer these questions because Chinese caves are very different than Indian caves. Chinese caves are very different than Indian caves. And some elements went from here, but a lot of elements came from Gandhara. A lot of elements came from other areas. So China was all these caves were on the Silk Road, on the northern Silk Road, and therefore from Eurasia, a lot of currents came to China. India was just one of the source for Chinese caves, and therefore it is not easy to identify what exactly came from India. And I have some more study to do in this direction.
So, to my knowledge, except Ajanta and Pitalkhora, none of the Buddhist caves have any traces of painting. We've been to the Kanheri caves or dozens of caves all over Western India, caves in Bihar, caves in Orissa, other monuments, Amaravati, Barhut, So you can say that buried and so they lost their painting or whatever. But why do you think that is? Were there never any attempt to paint, or was the paint lost in these places, other monuments?
Okay, short answer. Number one, uh, I have proposed in my latest publication that in the first century of cave architecture, beginning from the Bihar caves up to Ajanta cave number 10, in the first century of cave architecture, painting was not a part of architecture. This I have made proposition in my latest work, and it was only after 100 years that painting became a part of the temple architecture in the Buddhist contexts, and therefore the painting began from the 2nd century BC onwards. Now, the thing is, why Ajanta preserved the paintings? Because Ajanta was abandoned after circa 477 CE, and it was taken over by the wildlife, and therefore the wildlife protected it. Even today, you have to go inside it, whereas other sites are even now closer to the population, and therefore, because of the exposure to the population, they lost the paintings, although all of them, all the temples had paintings or were intended for having paintings.
Do you have any questions?
Yeah.
I think we just need to explore all that you have spoken about today quite a lot, right from
Laura,
the which painting represents which tale to much further details. So I think we are
our
just
audience is
kind
full of compliments more than questions. They are quite
yeah,
overwhelmed. Keep saying this
we
is
are
an
just
excellent
overwhelmed by
new revelations
all
and so
that.
on. They are too overwhelmed to ask any questions. So we've
Yeah.
been asking questions on their behalf. So it was such a delightful presentation. We learnt enormous number of new things. So thank you very much for a wonderful lecture and a wonderful presentation. Thank you. Over to you, Gauri.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Rajesh. And as Goku said correctly, it was a wonderful presentation and really opened our eyes to look at Ajanta afresh. I think whatever we've been viewing so far, we need to kind of undo that and start looking at Ajanta.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And thank you for answering all our questions so patiently.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course, our opening note speaker, Dr. Gauri Parimukrishnan, for guiding us through this festival. Today, as you all know, we visited the earliest painting traditions in India, from rock art at one end and Buddhist murals at Ajanta. Tomorrow, we'll be moving forward a little to early and medieval temple art and focusing more on South India. We have two more lovely lectures lined up tomorrow by experts, and we hope all of you will be joining us then. From the Tamil Heritage Trust, thank you to all our audience for their participation and hoping to see you tomorrow. Good night.
Sorry, Gauri. I stopped the live stream when all the thank yous came. The last note couldn't have gone through.
Oh, never mind.
That's
We
okay.
want,
Tomorrow we will
yeah,
be more.
make it a
kind of-
point to say that. I mean, we just include the next day slides. So, but never mind. That's it.
வருதேப்பா பத்ரி அடுத்த நாள் ஸ்கிரீன்லாம் வருதே யூடியூப் லீட்ல லேட் லீட்ல வருதே see you
வருதா?
tomorrow good ஸ்கிரீன்லாம் வருதே
வருதா?